Familiar faces back in this year's field at the ACC championships. The two-time champion Kaiarini, the Geoffrey brothers wreaking havoc for Virginia. Maddie Singleton healthy for the Wolfpack. And then Mr. Loud, North Carolina. Some of the faces that we're going to be watching as we enter the semifinal round of the 2025 ACC Wrestling Championship. The Wolfpack looking for their 7th straight tournament title. They currently have a very narrow lead over 3 other schools hungry to get back on top of the ACC. The regular season was a logjam. Virginia Tech, NC State, North Carolina all shared regular season supremacy. And then in a few moments, we will get our first look at the defending national champion at 149 pounds in Caleb Henson. We start, though, in the semifinals at 125. Eddie Ventresca, the top seed, 16-3 this year, taking on Nick Babin, the 4 seed. Babin so tough in that top position, he was able to plow his way to a 10-2 win earlier this morning. So Babin and Ventresca, and we are off and running alongside 4-time ACC champion Trent Hidley. Sean Kinney, great to have you with us from Durham.
Yeah, back in action here. Ventresca already in on a leg. He does such a good job at stopping scrambles, one of his best techniques. He's very low, and when he gets the legs, he's very efficient scoring. And you just saw that there early. He got to a leg, he timed Babin's roll, and he stopped it right away to get the takedown. Really hot start for Eddie Ventresca here in the semifinals.
Eddie Ventresca with the takedown early in this first period. 3-0 for the redshirt junior out of Roxbury, New Jersey. Forced into a red shirt last year following an injury, and we saw the emergence of Cooper Flynn in his absence. Well, this offseason, Flynn transferred to Minnesota, 125 occupied by Ventresca, who had that remarkable run at Nationals 2 years ago. The 27 seed went on an improbable run that saw him earn All-American honors and place 7th in the country.
Yeah, he's really finding that groove again from that 2023 All-American run. And one thing I like about Ventresca, he's very confident, right? He knows where his best positions are, and he wrestles extremely confident. He doesn't wrestle out of his wheelhouse and put him in bad positions. He's got a very good stance. His stance discipline is very good. He rides really hard on top, as you see him starting to generate a lot of riding time. Here we see that first takedown. Notice how he gets his ankle off the mat and stops that roll. He times Babin's roll, gets his hips away, and eliminates the scramble opportunity for Babin, which he wanted to do. So big finish for Ventresca, back on top, riding hard. And this riding time is really important here because Babin is somebody that really wants to be on top and get riding time in his favor and look for turns. So if you start out with a lot of riding time, it takes away some of those options from Babin as you get into the second, third period.
Ventresca continuing to work on top. Babin into a stand-up position, and he is away. So point for Nick Babin, the transfer, his first year at Pitt, coming over to this program from Columbia. 3-1 deficit. Now Ventresca whips around to the side. Has to break through that whizzer. Babin tried to roll through it. Ventresca still no control yet. There's the 3, and he might be thinking more, Trent.
He's thinking back points here. He's got to get that. I want to see him get that Turk in, and then he lost the Turk. But just again, a really good finish by Ventresca. Same thing as the first takedown. He gets the leg. He knew Babin was going to roll. He was able to get his hips and drop him and get the easy takedown. Good job staying on top.
Working near the edge, Ventresca showing some of his strength. The quick and prompt mat return brings Babin back down as we go back to the 3.
Yeah, again, and he ended up in this position. He was almost able to hook that bottom leg and run a Turk, but Babin did a good job of fighting it off. Babin's very long. He's got long arms. He can use that for leverage, but really impressed with Ventresca's ability to get angles and score quickly in this match.
Talk to anybody outside the Virginia Tech wrestling room, it might have been a surprise Ventresca's run in 23. Well, make no mistake, it won't be a surprise in 25. A legitimate national championship contender in a wide open weight class across the country.
Yeah, here with 20 seconds, Ventresca really wants to finish this period on top. Don't give Babin an opportunity to get another point. And he can keep his foot in here and waste a little bit of time. See, the ref's going to be counting that 5-second stall. As soon as he gets to 4, he can take his feet out and get a fresh start, which he does. 9 seconds left on the restart.
9 seconds, first period. Already over 2 minutes of riding time by Ventresca. Takes a look over at his body of work up at the tower clock. Gets his thoughts together, methodically into position. Short time. Babin hits a roll. Ventresca was ready for that. And the clock never started. The scores table trying to get the attention of the officials. We never saw a second come off the clock as it's still showing 9. So technical glitch, and smarter people than myself will go try to fix that across the way.
I'm glad I'm not in charge of the clock. I don't know if I'd have quick enough hands to get into it. I'd be paying attention to the wrestling too much.
You see Virginia Tech and Eddie Ventresca with his 2 coaches, the assistants Jared Frere and Zach Tonelli. What a addition Tonelli has been. The first year he was introduced as the associate head coach back in April. Spent the past 8 years in New York City as the head coach at Columbia. And we had a chance to talk to Ventresca earlier this year, and boy, he just kept bringing up Zach Tonelli's name in our conversation, especially the bottom position. We haven't seen it because Ventresca's been on top, but he says he's really improved underneath thanks to the addition of Tonelli.
Well, it's a huge addition, and what a valuable coach to have on your coaching staff. Someone that has head coaching experience to be put back in that assistant role. He understands the ins and outs of not just wrestling technique, but the business side of it as well. And I think you're seeing Virginia Tech really upping their levels in all parts of their program. And I do believe it's part of Tonelli's role in that program. It's really, really valuable for them.
Ventresca rides him out after they get the scoreboard fixed. It's a 6-1 lead. 2 minutes and 23 seconds, I believe, is what the riding time should be recalibrated to, and that's what they're working on right now over at the clock. Taking a look at the other semifinal over on Mat 2. Vincent Robinson, a 5-2 lead on Spencer Moore of North Carolina. Last time we saw Robinson, it was that nail biter with Ventresca on our final Friday night duel of the year in Blacksburg. And this is going to send both of our wrestlers into their respective corners. So this is a mechanical issue right now that they're dealing with. So Trent, take us inside the conversations now with both Pitt and Virginia Tech. This is tough for an athlete.
Yeah, it is, and it's different for both guys, right? Ventresca's had a ton of momentum in this first period. As an athlete that's wrestling with momentum, you don't want any stoppages, right? You want it to keep going. So is it frustrating? Yeah, possibly a little bit, but when you go back to your coaches, it's their job to kind of refocus you. Okay, hey, listen, yeah, that's a little bit of frustrating. You got some good momentum. Keep getting back to your feet. Keep getting those attacks. You're doing a good job on top and riding. And if you're bad, then sometimes this is a break that you need, right? Get a little bit of the coaches in your ear and say, hey, listen, you got to explode off bottom, or hey, you need to do this differently in neutral to avoid those takedowns. So it can be a beneficial break for both guys. But if you're Ventresca, keep that momentum. Get back to your leg attacks. Keep looking for your front head offense angles.
So they get the clock straightened out. Babin the escape, 6-2 here in this second period. Keep in mind, in this semifinal round, it is the first competition of the day for the top seeds in all 10 weight classes. Ventresca with that low center of gravity operating from those knees. See some finger fighting here with Babin and Ventresca. Babin circling around. Now he drops down to a knee.
Yeah, just really good head position by Ventresca. I've noted it a couple of times. You'll see him go down on a knee as well. That's really difficult for a guy like Babin to start getting offense going. When Ventresca's center of gravity is so low, and with him being as strong as he is, you're not going to be able to blow through that on a double. And, it opens up a lot of Ventresca's attacks, like he gets back in on this single. He feels that roll. Babin gets a bite of the leg this time. What Ventresca wants to do is get pressure onto his foot. He might be just looking for a stalemate here. Yeah, sometimes when your leg gets in that position, you don't want to risk it getting bent up in your joints and everything. So Babin did another roll there. He was able to get a bite of his leg, and that's just where Babin likes to create some of that action defensively.
Babin, the grad student, transferred in from Columbia, trying to get back to nationals for the second time in his career. In fact, he's won some matches in the spotlight of the NCAAs a couple of years ago. Here is Ventresca late on a shot.
You see some of that funky defense by Babin. 20 seconds left here. We'll see if Ventresca can improve his position. It's a really good shot entry. Babin kind of an unorthodox scramble. 10 seconds left. Could be looking for a danger count if Ventresca exposes Babin's back. I don't think we're going to get into it. You know, what's interesting enough, we were just talking about Coach Tonelli. He would have been Babin's coach for, you know, upwards of, you know, 4 years or so. So if anybody knows what Nick Babin does, it's Coach Tonelli, which is a big benefit for Ventresca in a position like this.
Start on the feet here in this third period. 6-2, Ventresca with the 2 takedowns so far. Babin trying to find that right formula to crack the defense of Eddie Ventresca. Not too many have been able to do that this season.
Yeah, you see a little bit of the respect there for Babin's top game. Ventresca takes neutral. He's been really dominant on his feet. He's getting back into a shot. Needs to keep his shoulder below the butt here and drive and get weight into Babin's right knee. Take away the split, get the foot off the mat, and work for your finish. See Babin collecting shin whizzer and wrist there. Now he's got the foot off the mat. Now he can work here. Be ready for the dive roll. Try to get that foot elevated even higher. See him kind of run the pipe there and double off. That should be a takedown. He's collected both legs. As soon as he hooks that leg, it should be 3. Yeah, really smart wrestling by Ventresca. With someone like Babin that you know is going to dive roll, sometimes you have to be patient when you get that leg up in the air. You notice he pulled him back one way, called that running the pipe, and then when Babin defended that, he was able to double off and secure the takedown.
Commanding lead now for Eddie Ventresca.
Then we got ourselves in bonus territory here. If he rides out, get the extra bonus point, go to win 10-2, that's huge. If Babin gets an escape, Ventresca, I know, would be looking to get another takedown to secure bonus points.
Bonus points, certainly one of those areas that could decipher today's team champion and what is anticipated on being very tight among the upper echelon. Babin gets the escape. Riding time locked. Now a stall call on Babin as Ventresca shoots in again, captures that second leg for 3 more.
Yeah, really solid single leg technique. Oftentimes shoulder position is so huge. If you get into a single leg and your shoulder slips and they get that shin whizzer, there's a lot of pressure down. Every time Ventresca is getting a shot, he's putting himself in perfect finishing position. You'll notice it here. Notice where his shoulder is, pressuring in, doesn't allow Babin to improve his position defensively and gives him an easy finish.
Ventresca, the ACC runner-up that year. He placed 7th in the country, looking for his first ACC title, and just again plowing in, and he's thinking more than a major decision. He's wanting more points from his feet. Comes right back in on Babin.
Takedown, here's a tech fall if he gets it. 18-4 plus 1. They've rewarded the points to the wrong. Ventresca, well, maybe he missed that out on 1 point. But wow, he really started to open it up there in the third period. Outside step, comes back, hard cut, find himself back into that single. That's the offense that Eddie Ventresca has been looking for all season. Really, really impressive.
A win by major decision for Eddie Ventresca. We go to 133 pounds. The tongue is back. Trent, we saw a patented celebration from Kai Arini after his first round win earlier today. Wolfpack fans hoping to see more of the tongue over the next few hours here in Durham. Ethan Oakley, very quietly, what a wonderful addition coming over from App State to join Rob Cole's fleet.
Yeah, Oakley's been great this season. Very fundamentally sound, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He knows how to win close matches, and that's what he's been doing all year. You look at his results across the ACC, but the whole season, he's very poised in high-pressure situations. He knows that if he needs to get a takedown to win, he can late, If he needs to defend late, he can, or if he needs to ride out and win on riding time, he can win in a lot of different areas. Kai Arini, known as being kind of a bit of a high flyer, he wants to play into the crowd and get the NC State fans involved a little bit. Back in their dual meet, Oakley won on a stall call in overtime, so not a whole lot of scoring out of these guys. We'll see who makes the adjustment to get to some leg attacks.
Once again, some issues with the clock and the scoreboard, so they are delaying the start of this semifinal match at 1:33. This is a weight that will send 3 from the ACC. Ethan Oakley, the top seed. Connor McGonigal, another transfer this offseason for Virginia Tech, the 2 seed. And then you have the 2-time defending champion seeded 4th in Kai Arini. So he knows what it takes to win an ACC title. He's done it twice. Last year he beat Latona, who's up a weight to 41 this year. And then 2023, the win over Mickey Philippi of Pitt. There's the bracket at 133. McGonigal and Knox, that's must-see TV over on mat 2. We are off and running here on mat number 1. 133 pounds, Oakley, North Carolina, Arini, North Carolina State.
With their previous match being decided by a stall call, you want to see guys control the mat. Who controls the center of the mat often will win matches like this. You see Kai taking an advantage of an early shot. Oakley showing some of his ability to scramble as well. Both guys get both legs tied up.
Early stalemate, 31 seconds in.
Could be lost in a little bit of Oakley. Like, yes, he's very fundamentally sound, but he also can scramble really well. And you may not think about that at first glance, but everybody in this weight scrambles really well.
A little bit of a different journey this year for Kai Arini, who started the year at 141, but then he made the decision after talking with the coaches to drop weight, come back down to 33, where he's had so much success throughout his career. Both wrestlers in the center, a little more than a minute into this opening period.
Arini definitely, built up the reputation to be a bit of a gamer as he goes into the postseason. This is a perfect opportunity to kind of prove. And he just patiently inched his way to improve his position. As you can see here, Oakley tried to continue that scramble. Arini limp-kneed out and got that finish.
Patience by the veteran on the edge for 3 for Kai Arini, and now a blood timeout. Oakley bloodied after that last exchange. And again, it sounds strange, Trent, a 2-time ACC champ looking for some confidence, but that's a confidence maneuver on the edge, what we just saw.
It absolutely is, and that's experience. Understanding where you're at on the mat, having the mat IQ to realize how I can pressure release so I don't go out of bounds. When is this guy going to try to scramble? And now he's in his best position, which is top. He's really made his living these past couple years being able to ride, collect wrists, and get turned. If he can ride out this period, it sets him up really well.
Sticks in that claw, 30 seconds to go in this first period. Oakley trying to build up to that quad pod. Clears out that thigh pry, now up into a stand-up. Arini promptly brings him right back down. Keep an eye on that right leg, that right foot of Kai Arini as we hit short time. Now he switches that left foot inside the cylinder. Clock continues to tick. Let's see if Oakley can get out late. 5 seconds, down to 3, down to 2, and Arini is going to hold, and a 3-0 lead after 1.
Yeah, that's a huge ride out for Arini. Big confidence booster as well. He wasn't able to ride Oakley very well in the dual meet. Gets the first period takedown and a ride out to go up 3-0. Oakley, like to see an adjustment on bottom. When he comes up, he's got to find hands. Because Arini's so good at collecting wrists, if he stands up and he doesn't have wrist control, it's going to be hard for him to escape.
Oakley spent his first 4 seasons with App State. He won a conference title last year, did it with head coach John Mark Bentley and the Mountaineers. New home in Chapel Hill, has earned the top seed this year in the conference. Arini away quickly in this second period.
You mentioned Coach John Mark Bentley. I'm a huge fan of what he does with the App State program. Oakley's a great product of his ability to develop under the radar talent, and now Oakley getting a shot here in this year, kind of running with it. Orini with a great start, but Oakley has been in this position before. He's won by coming back earlier in this season, and he's going to need to go look to get a takedown in the second period.
Better buckle it up when you wrestle App State and Coach Mark Bentley.
Never an easy match. Those guys bring it all the time. Some of the toughest guys in the country for sure.
Straight on shot there by Orini, covered effectively by Ethan Oakley, working off this front head position.
Yeah, if you're Oakley, you want to take advantage of this. Look to bounce and chase. Make Kai Orini uncomfortable here. Don't let him just recover and get back to his feet. Pressure, snap, try to get his head and his elbows down to the mat.
Referee stops at 56 seconds, second period. So let's go to Oakley real quickly, Trent. Go to, when you've seen Ethan Oakley at his best, where's that come from on his feet?
Well, I think it comes from a hard hand fight, right? He does such a good job of hand fighting and wearing guys down to the point later in the match where he's able to get to a leg. It's an easy finish because guys are worn out. Now, the situation changes a little bit. He may not have the option to wear guys down as much because he's got to get a score. Doesn't need to be this period, but he's got to be smart at wearing them down. Just like that, Kai Orini, big response. Big whizzer by Oakley again. Back in this similar situation they were in the first period, but Oakley's got a better whizzer. Really good defense by Oakley. I thought he was dead to rights there. Kai Orini went underhook to a far knee, and Oakley never gave up on that whizzer.
Both wrestlers straddling that boundary right off that cylinder side. Oakley fending off some trouble late, and a 4-0 lead for Kai Orini. Boy, Orini finishes this on 9 out of 10 wrestling.
Yeah, this was a really good shot. You see Orini goes far knee, and Oakley just does not give up on that whizzer. He's not in a good position, but he's really strong. He uses his hips to throw Orini off of him and get a fresh start.
Oakley right off the whistle, hits the roll, now into a stand-up. Good energy from Oakley. He'll turn face. Orini still bunkered in on that left leg. And Orini matching the energy of Ethan Oakley off that whistle.
Yeah, that was awesome job by Orini. Oakley did a good job of doing a Granby to kind of throw Orini off, and he got some separation as he got up to his feet. Orini went back on the leg. He knew the ref was doing the 5-count stall, so he got up to his feet and finished it to get a fresh start on top. He needs 9 more seconds for riding time. As Oakley gets a switch, he returns it 56, 57, 58. That's a big breakdown for Orini. Now this riding time over a minute. He's in good position in this third period to build his lead. He just wants to stay on the mat as much as possible. Don't give Oakley a restart. If you're Oakley, get out of bounds and get a fresh start again.
That's exactly what he does. Takes a look over at the North Carolina corner. Kai Orini has that hop and a step back so far today.
So if you're Orini, you felt the switch, you felt the Granby, you know what he's going to do off the whistle. You got to try to stop his first move.
Let's see what Oakley decides to do underneath. Minute 27 to go in this third period. Orini a minute 11 of riding time. Try to hit that roll again. Orini stays with him, has to bring him back down. Good fight here by Oakley, but Orini latched on like glue right now, brings him down to the mat.
Awesome mat return. He's doing a really good job of getting Oakley's feet off the mat for a safe return.
Again, if you're Ethan Oakley, he has thrown everything but the kitchen sink underneath here. He's hit different combinations trying to get out from underneath. Just cannot crack Kai Orini.
Oakley's not, he's not escaping, not due to a lack of effort, okay? He's working really, really hard. Orini's just doing a good job of controlling his hips and finding wrists when he can. And this is the hard part about bottom. It takes a lot out of you as you continue to circle up. And right as we say that Oakley's got a great opportunity, gets a reversal right back in this match. He's probably going to have to cut him here and look for a takedown. Down by 2, Orini's got riding time locked. He needs to cut him and look for some offense.
So he's going to cut right there. Again, Orini has the riding time, so Oakley trying to find some late magic. Really looking at a 4-point deficit following that escape.
Oakley's got to try. Yeah, this is what he needs. He needs to try to create some action. Fakes, put Arini's hands on the mat, look for go-behinds or create a re-attack opportunity.
Stall call on Arini. Oakley in that front headlock. Short time. Try to wiggle and trying to bring Arini back on. Instead goes back the opposite way. Just 5 seconds to go.
I think the NC State crowd's really going to enjoy this win. I know they've been hungry to see Kai Arini really break into his true form. This has been the best match that he's wrestled all year. Really big win for Kai Arini and the NC State Wolfpack.
Could the two-time defending ACC champ have found his mojo in the nick of time here in 2025?
I said it only takes one. It takes one match to get your confidence going.
141 semifinal bracket. The top seed is Sam Latona. Jaden Scott, his opponent from North Carolina. Briar Priest pulled off the upset earlier. Priest with the win over Jason Miranda. Now he will try to slow down Dylan Cedeno, who put up double-digit points in his first round win earlier in the day. Don't forget the finals tonight. Join us at 8 o'clock Eastern on ACC Networks. Virginia Tech with their top seed, Sam Latona, his final year. And what a career it has been for the senior from Alabaster, Alabama. 4-time NCAA qualifier, the 2-time All-American. When I think of Sam Latona, Trent, it's consistency. That's the word that just springs off the mat.
It absolutely is. He's been very consistent for the Hokies in his career, and that's no different this year. As far as a wrestling pace as well, he's very consistent. He's very good with a lefty collar tie. He's going to live on that as much as he can. He can attack both sides of the body. He'll go knee pull or high C to both sides. So when you say consistent, not just from a career standpoint, but the way he wrestles as well.
And he's done it at 3 different weights. You know, you look at the trajectory of Latona, 25, 33, and now his final go-around, his final year bumping up to 141 that has always matched that tall, lengthy frame of his.
He's adjusted to each weight class very well, and each year he's gotten a little bit better, and he's really trying to put it together for this final season. We missed it there, but he did get hit for stalling. Scott kind of put a lot of pressure late and kind of doubled him out of bounds. Didn't really give Latona an option to come back in, and the ref rewarded Scott with a stall call.
Scott won a low-scoring bout earlier today over Troy Holman, 2-1.
Yeah, in that match, Scott won with 1 minute of riding time, which is pretty rare to see. So he's got a lot of different ways that he can win. He's doing a great job of matching Latona's level and not letting him get comfortable with that lefty collar tie right now. You just got to be careful, because as soon as Latona gets an opportunity, he will pull the shot.
Scott sliding down from 149 to 141 this season. Redshirt sophomore out of Henrietta, New York. Rush Henrietta High School. Couple of tugs on the back of the neck by Latona, not altering Jaden Scott's position.
Well, Scott's doing an excellent job of controlling center. His butt's been to the center the whole time. Every time Latona's trying to get an angle, he's mirroring his position and constantly improving and winning this mat control battle.
Scott trying to find a leg, but it disappeared. 30 seconds, no score in this opening period.
There's that knee pull.
Yep, came right in on it. Scott counters with the whizzer.
Really heavy whizzer. He's got a lot of pressure. Latona's either going to try to limp arm or try to get 2 hands of that ankle. He's got to build himself up. If he can get his left hand above the knee and switch off, he's in good position. Got the foot off the mat. 5 seconds. Scott's going to try to fight this off. Nothing yet. Goes splits. No takedown.
Wow, what a finish there by Scott. to avoid giving up the 3.
Really good strength and flexibility by Scott. He had to use strength to get down to his whizzer, and you see as he's defending this, right as Latona's about to go, he hits these splits to avoid the takedown. Really impressive defense by Scott to take this into the second period, 0-0.
Jaden Scott defers to his choice to the 3rd period, so Latona to start underneath period 2.
Back to that shot by Latona. He loves that he camps on that lefty collar tie, but then from space, he'll head tap and go right away. So he kind of lulls you to sleep with the collar tie, and then on a re-entrance, it'll be a quick pop right to that shot. I imagine we'll see that again.
Scott doing all he can to try to bring down the taller wrestler in Sam Latona. Trying to build up, thrust, get that momentum, and he finally is able to wiggle him down, and the action goes out of bounds 22 seconds into this second period.
And a lot of times the strategy here, if you're Scott, I want to build up enough riding time to give myself some time to get off bottom. If I let this guy escape in 10 seconds, then I really don't have that much time to get off bottom to risk the other guy getting riding time. So sometimes chipping away at the riding time when the guy goes bottom first really helps you in the 3rd period when you go bottom.
Scott has won a lot of these low-scoring matches throughout the past couple of years. Latona is away. So 31 seconds of chipping away at that riding time. That's what Jaden Scott is able to accomplish with that ride.
Yeah, it was a good ride. Latona just wasn't going to be denied. Now, we've seen Latona shot. We've seen him on that collar. He'll go quick pop to the left, to Jaden Scott's right leg, but he'll also be ready to go other side. So now that Scott has felt that, he's got to be ready to defend misdirection as well. There's that collar tie by Latona trying to set this up. Scott doing a good job of controlling that other leg and good snap to get out of it. Neither guy is letting each other get comfortable in the ties.
Latona comes back in with that heavy left hand collar. Again, Scott just not budging an inch from the center. He's controlled the center of the mat. 30 seconds to go, second period. Latona with a bluff, tried, or at least thought about coming on that offense. We hit short time in the second period. Trent, I want to talk Jaden Scott. Latona is a wrestler who has put up a lot of points this year, a lot of bonus point wins. What has Scott done so well to keep the normal, reliable, offensive-minded Sam Latona at bay? He's been staying really low, okay? And he hasn't let Latona camp on that collar tie. And every time he does, he's snapping it off. And he's controlling the center. Every time Latona moves, he's mirroring him with his head position. So Latona's never getting a free shot. Now, Scott did take neutral here, so he's going to have to work. Latona has a stall call, so in your eyes, if you're Scott, okay, I either need to wrestle really hard and get the stall call to get a point, or I got to go to get a takedown and win this. Do you like that choice, going neutral? I think if you don't feel confident that you can get out in a minute 30, yeah, put yourself on your feet. If you feel like you have a good idea. I was always someone that loved to go bottom, but it's different for everybody. See, Latona's going to try to stay offensive here. Now, on Latona's end, with a stall call, don't let the optics shift in Scott's favor. Don't get to your butt to the center, or don't get your butt to the edge. Try to get your butt to the center as much as you can. Win this hand fight battle a little bit. You don't want to risk taking this to overtime on a stall call because Scott's winning the control. Real long range distance shot there by Scott, easily fended off by Latona. And this is a great position to be if you're Latona. Stay on the mat. You don't need to take Scott out. You're in the winning position. Scott reshoots it again, and this time they go out of bounds. 54 seconds, riding time not a factor. The Latona escape early in the second period, the only point on the board. See a little re-attack by Scott. He's in on the leg. He's got to elevate that. His hips are underneath him. Don't let Latona come through don't let him get a crotch lock and scramble. He's got his hands locked. He's got to be patient here. Don't let him scramble. Latona passes the leg. Now he's in business. He's going to build up. Latona's going to waste some time here if he can. Scott turns. He's got to get weight on that foot.
Scott's this is his opportunity to score. He's only got 24 seconds. He's got to move and go forward with it.
And a whistle with 19 seconds.
Good defense by Latona to find that ankle and create the scramble. Scott got both hands locked, but Latona was able to slide off and get his hands on the ankle.
Scott trying to find that range, but Latona, the veteran.
Front headlock is awesome here if you're Latona. It really takes away all of Scott's offense.
Latona,
get in on a shot, yeah.
Right back in on that leg, and that is going to be it. Hard fought battle, and it goes Virginia Tech's way. Sam Latona.
The ability to win in different ways during the postseason is crucial. You can either win by scoring a ton of points, or you can win by being really stingy, getting off on bottom, and doing the right things. Latona did a great job of controlling that match and doing the right things in the third period to win.
So the big names, the big programs certainly delivering the punch in the semis. First it was NC State, now Virginia Tech and their top seed. Virginia on deck when we come back to Durham. Returning national champion from Virginia Tech, Caleb Hinson, on path to defend his title from a year ago. The Hokie, the entire package coming off that national championship run a season ago. The top seed here in the ACC, getting ready to take on Jack Geoffrey of Virginia, the junior from Clovis, California. Caleb Hinson, 16-0, and he has had that target on his back all season. The returning national champion. Where have you seen him evolve from being already the best at this weight a year ago?
Well, it's different now. You know, Caleb Hinson really took control of that tournament last year. He's such an intense competitor. I think that's probably one of his greatest traits, is he's one of the best competitors in the country. You know, not just from a wrestling standpoint, but he's stingy, he's tough, he wrestles through all positions, and he's extremely confident. And now, with the target on his back, he hasn't taken a back seat to that. He's brought the fight even more to say, you know, you guys got to have a target on my back? No, I'm still coming for you guys.
149 pounds, 4 automatic qualifiers. Hinson and Geoffrey in the top half of the semis. Jay Navis, Lackland, McNeil battling. That's going to be a good one. The 2 versus the 3 seed. And I don't know, Trey, you look at all the first round matches we watched. I don't know if anybody was more impressive than what we saw from Abbas.
Abbas came out red hot. His attacks were really clean. He was able to get to a Turk and get to a fall. Big bonus points for Stanford. He looked really focused.
So the defending national champion in the house and competing for the first time today. Caleb Hinson, the ACC Wrestler of the Year a season ago. He became the program's second national champion, joining Mekhi Lewis. Only a junior from Cartersville, Georgia.
And you can almost feel the clubs from Hinson from here. When he makes contact hard. There's no soft touches. It's a hard club. He'll punch underhook. He's also has a really good background with foot sweeps. He can go 2-on-1. He's got a great slide by on his right side, so he's very versatile. He can score in many different ways, but he's going to get out there. He's going to hand fight hard. He's going to wear you down, and he's going to look for easy scores by the end of, you know, when you start getting these guys fatigued, that's when those points start coming for Hinson.
Geoffrey taking an early shot to that eye. He is all right. Jack Geoffrey, the junior from Clovis, California, like his brother, who we will see a little bit later on. He is up a weight this year after representing Virginia at 141 at last year's ACC championship. Third year on the grounds for Geoffrey. Injuries have slowed down his career the past couple of years. Trying to slow down this underhook right now from Mr. Hinson.
Hinson just putting a lot of good pressure on. You noticed earlier he went to a 2-on-1. Geoffrey was forced to take a shot, and he just kept the pressure into him. Now he's got an underhook. He's got Geoffrey on the edge. He can look to take him out of bounds for a stall call, or you can use this hook, goes duck under. Just putting a lot of pressure on. Because he can attack in so many different ways, it's just really hard to defend. If you defend one thing, he's already looking for something else.
Across the halfway point of this first period, no score. Henson trying to get to the corner, cut off by Geoffrey. So that forward driving pressure coming from Caleb Henson. Geoffrey kind of skidding across the mat on his kneecaps. Henson still firmly with that right arm underhook. Now reaches for that far ankle, and he drops him over for 3.
Yeah, that was an awesome attack. Beautiful underhook, attack far side, slide off to the low double. Really good attack by Henson, and it's the pressure that leads to that. He's wrestling really hard in the first 2 minutes. You start to wear him down, you get to an underhook, all of a sudden those finishes get a little bit easier.
Henson had Geoffrey over for a split second. Good energy by Jack Geoffrey as he burst off his back and up to his feet.
Yeah, Geoffrey scraps really well. He scrambles really well, and Henson's just starting to get a read. Now that I said, his pressure starts to pay off. You start to feel what works. You go to your underhook, you get an attack, you get an escape. Now as you start to feel him reach a little bit more, there's that head club to his knee pull single that's kind of his patented attack.
Henson's going to be content just to hold this position for the final few moments. Couple of takedowns from Caleb Henson.
Yeah, back to this underhook. Look how he pulls it in, gets a piece of that ankle, and shifts his head back and finishes that double. Really solid attack. I think one thing with Henson that you're seeing, you know, in some of these dual meets, it's such a quick turnaround from the weigh-in. With him, the longer the tournament goes on, the better he's going to get. And that's what the best competitors do. They get in a rhythm and they just keep getting better. You know, he weighed in earlier this morning. He had that first match, and that's the beauty of having the 1 seed. You continue to build, refuel yourself, and now when you take the mat, it's domination time.
Quick stand up by Henson. Geoffrey struggling to bring him back down, and in fact he cannot. So 7 seconds into this second period, Henson is away. He ups the ante, now 7-1. You know what's so impressive about that national championship run from Henson last year was, keep in mind, he was dinged up right before the ACCs, about 10 days before the ACC championship. He injured his knee. Really did not practice for a good 2.5 week stretch. In fact, his first practice back was at Nationals. Coaching staff did a terrific job managing that injury late. Obviously evidence in the pudding with his national championship run. Fully healthy here in 2025, and that's a scary sight for the rest of the country.
He's looked great thus far, scoring in different ways, but a lot of it is coming off of the hustle and the pace that he's putting in.
He has all the goals out in front of him. He told us very clearly earlier this year he wants to win another national championship. He wants to dominate. He wants the Hodge, the team trials, an Olympic champion in 2028 in the LA Games. All very realistic goals for the junior out of the state of Georgia, Caleb Henson.
Yeah, his mind is definitely on bonus points right now. You know, you're up 10-1, you got a lot of riding time, and it's going up. We're still in the third period. He's going to want to continue to score and look for a tech fall for the team.
That head lever here, pushing that head in behind that tricep, just as Geoffrey trying to get up to his feet, nearly got caught on his back. Again, Geoffrey still with plenty of fight, able to get back to his base.
Yeah, close call there. Looked like he made a 1 count, and Geoffrey broke the plane and he counted again. So not a full 2 count, but 2 1 counts.
Locks up that right arm of Geoffrey, will hold him down there, and we go to the third period. All Caleb Henson right now, 10-1.
Yeah, I'd expect maybe Henson to cut him and look for a takedown, or if he thinks he can get a turn, he might commit to just staying on top.
Henson looking over at his corner, head coach Tony Roby alongside Jared Frere. Those two a long relationship. Oh, he nearly caught Geoffrey on his back. That nearly backfired on the Virginia junior.
Oh, he's got this really tight. Now, this is really hard as a bottom guy. When you get your bent leg Turk like that, there's really nothing you can do. Henson's going to look to get underneath the chin, arch his hips in, and then drive him over to the left. There it is. He's got to just catch him on the roll. Geoffrey's just kind of funky. He's able to roll really well and kind of get out of some of those offensive turns that Henson's threatening.
Looking over at the Virginia bench, and assistant coach Ian Parker just took a huge sigh of relief. You get that turn from Henson, and it could be lights out quickly.
Yeah, that's not an easy move to get out of.
Geoffrey, some of that funk, able to turn and slip away. Riding time is locked for Henson, so he's already in bonus point territory. His coach is really pushing him to keep the foot on the gas.
Yeah, they want to see him go get another takedown. You know that's his mentality. He wants to finish on top here. He was close to a single leg there. Back to the underhook. Stop the shot. Easy go behind. Looking for more, too. This is what you want to see if you're Virginia Tech. Kind of the backbone of your program really going out there and having a great performance in the semis. You could be thinking Tech fall here, really. He's got enough time to do it.
He absolutely is thinking about picking up that additional half bonus point with a Tech fall.
One more takedown would do it as soon as he gets his hands locked with the snap.
16.
Back to a single.
And there it is, chasing down the points late. That's what a national champion can do, and that's what a leader in a room can do as he delivers 3 takedowns late in a span of about 20 to 25 seconds, and a Tech fall win for the national champion. And the fans from Blacksburg love this guy.
Very dominant. Not much else you can say. Just extremely dominant in all positions.
Not only the advancement points, but also the additional 1.5 that comes with the Tech fall. As we go to 157, Virginia Tech will look to keep it rolling with Rafael Hippolito, the top seed. 14-3 this year. A couple of good-looking young wrestlers. Grigor Chalakian of Stanford, the true freshman out of Burbank, California. Future bright in this weight for the ACC at 157.
Definitely is. A lot of good young talent, and both of these guys are high flyers that are not afraid to throw. Could be really interesting here if we get to an upper body position. If we get to an over-under. Both guys feel comfortable there.
Hippolito was injured midway through the season. It cost him a few weeks. Back out there.
Once as Chalakian gets stuffed on a shot, he often likes to come up to double unders. Hippolito just really strong in that chest wrap position.
Mentioned the big move capability for Hippolito. Only appropriate that he's replacing one of the highlight reels of this conference, and Bryce Indonian and all the theatrics that he brought with his variety of weapons offensively.
Well, they certainly together have, you know, generated that persona of they're going to go big and they're not afraid to do it, and they're good at it. Hippolito is very dangerous when he gets a body lock over under. He'll step in, he can back arch, but Chalakian really likes a headlock. So if they're in that over under, both guys are really in their bread and butter position in terms of throws. But Hippolito, what he's also really good at is his blast double from space is really good. So if he can get Chalakian moving what he's doing right now with a lot of motions to get him to reach, he's going to try to lower his level and fire off a double.
We hit a minute into this opening period. No score. The 1 seed versus the 5 seed. Grigor Chalakian. Now Hippolito coming in on a shot. Good job there by Chalakian.
Yeah, what makes Hippolito so dangerous? Every time he takes a shot, he's immediately coming to look up. You saw he took that single and he was looking for underhook right away. Chalakian just did a good job of getting off of it.
You see the constant flurry of activity from Hippolito. Keep an eye on his feet, always moving, dancing around in the center. All the different angles that he can hit just because of the active footwork. Straight on double there. A half-hearted shot by Hippolito. Comes right back in on a double. He's committed to this one and close to getting the 3 here. And he breaks that grip of Chalakian. 3-0, Rafael Hippolito.
Yeah, he stopped that scramble by keeping his hands locked. And once he was able to collect that other leg with his foot, he just pinched it in. Good finish by Hippolito. Chalakian likes to try to slip off to the side and pass ankles. Hippolito didn't give him that option.
3-1, Hippolito out in front. 33 seconds to go here in this opening period. The semifinal at 1:57. Hippolito back in on that double again.
That's that double I'm talking about. He wants to push off with that knee and pop his head out. As soon as he pops his head out, he can double off. Grieger's using his knee to pinch, going chest wrap. It's really close to a takedown. More of a freestyle technique, close to back points. Now he's passing the ankle. Good defense by Grieger. Short time left. Virginia Tech's thinking about challenging the call. They were really close to a takedown. See here this open double that I was talking about by Hippolito. And you watch here Grieger as he keeps his head pinched. Tries to find that ankle pass. He's off the first takedown when Hippolito stopped it. Did a good job of beating the scramble.
Grigor Chalakian, Armenian descent. He grew up in Burbank, California, but his parents grew up over in Armenia, immigrated to the United States, takes a lot of pride in his Armenian roots. Tremendous wrestling country on the international circuit. Quick escape there for Chalakian, 3-2.
Yeah, another quick escape, good to get off. And Hippolito just really finding that open double. That time able to secure the takedown before Grieger gets his chest wrap in. Just really good timing. He's getting into his shots. He's able to double off. Notice he keeps his hips down, getting that pressure, split the body of Chalakian, not giving him an opportunity to get his hips off the mat.
Off the whistle, Chalakian up to his feet. Hippolito looking to bring him back down near the edge, and he does. Chalakian takes a glance over at the clock, sees how much time he has to work. Lots of time to go, second period. 45 seconds and counting for Hippolito as that riding time continues to climb. As the waist swallowed up, good riding position. Chalakian slowly trying to work his way back up. Hippolito gives a push at one of those arms, lower half of the body now with that count mounting from the official for stall. Wisely moves up the body and out of bounds.
A solid top work by Hippolito, knowing where he's at on the edge, trying to get as much riding time as he can before he goes out of bounds.
Hippolito won 3 state championships. A late arrival to wrestling, did not start wrestling until September of his sophomore year. It's really an incredible story when you look at it. Long-range shot here by Chalakian.
You see the first offense by Chalakian. He's got to hook that bottom ankle before he doubles off. Hippolito really strong here. There you go. He's trying to hook that ankle. Got to hook that ankle first. Be a stalemate.
Restart in the center with 23 seconds to go.
See if Chalakian finds himself back in on that shot. That was his first opportunity offensively.
Hippolito continuing to dance in the center. Short time, 5 seconds. Couple of takedowns. Rafael Hippolito in a 6-3 lead with 1:09 of riding time and his choice heading into the third period, and he says, let's go underneath. Not sure, I'm curious. We have a couple of freshmen here, one coming off a red shirt like Hippolito, and then the true freshman Chalakian. What's that toughest adjustment from that senior level of high school up to a conference like the ACC?
Well, I think it's little things. It's winning the hand fight battle. It's understanding mat control. It's knowing that if you're going to get a score, it's going to take another step to get it. A lot of time in high school, when you're the top guy and you're a senior, you're used to getting in on legs and finishing quickly. It's never that easy in a college guy. So just little adjustments like that. The hand fighting is much harder at the college level, and also getting off bottom. You're seeing Hippolito just really controlling the mat, controlling the pace with his fakes and his motion, getting Chalakian to overreach and finding his easy double leg takedowns.
Hippolito redshirting last year, but he got the call up in the North Carolina State-Virginia Tech duel with Ed Scott, who right now is in a barn burner with Michael Geoffrey over on mat 2. Geoffrey with a 4-3 lead on Scott. 45 seconds to go over there. So Hippolito in control on mat 1, and you might have guessed it, judging by the decibel level inside Cameron Indoor, something good has happened for the Wolfpack. Scott has regained the lead over there on mat 2. Man, I love today.
It is crazy. You heard the loud eruption. Scott was pretty close to a couple of takedowns. Finally gets one a third. Still 30 seconds over there, but you know, on this mat, Hippolito's been very controlling. He's got himself in position for a major decision, up 10-3. He cuts him. He's going to need another one. Just as we do that, Chalakian tries to jump in. Now he's got a half. He could have him in trouble on his back. Chalakian good at passing ankles here. He's counting danger. So there we saw a danger call. Hippolito had Chalakian's back exposed. He called danger. 1, 2, 3. Secured the final takedown, and now we'll ride this out on top. Great performance by Hippolito.
How about these last two wrestlers, to no surprise for Virginia Tech, chasing those additional bonus points. For Henson, it was moving from major decision to tech ball.
That's what you want. That's what you want to see your guys doing. Always looking to chase points, get those bonus points for your team.
So almost simultaneously, Hippolito and Scott are going to get their arms raised. And an NC State Virginia Tech showdown tonight. Hippolito and the Hokies rolling. It started with Eddie Ventresca, the All-American from a couple of years ago, and then the two-time defending ACC champion, Kai Arini. He is back. And then the biggest name of all, the national champion, Caleb Henson. A Tech fall win halfway through the semis from Durham.
The 2025 ACC Wrestling Championships are underway in Durham, North Carolina. Cameron Indoor, you've seen the tongue of Arini, you've seen the Hokies pride as well, as we are at mat 2, our coverage, and it's semi-final action of the ACC Wrestling Championships at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Alongside Dylan Ryan, we call him Rhino, I'm Dean Linke, and now we're at the stage where you win, you know you're headed to the Nationals.
Yeah, we're going to see tickets punched here in this round, and this is really where we see the team race start to heat up. A lot of the Virginia Tech guys who had buys in that first round are going to be wrestling, and we'll see if NC State can kind of maintain that lead as we go through the semifinals.
All right, we'll have the 2 seed as it's all chalk at 125. And there's a reason for that. They only had 5. 2 teams did not participate. Vince Robinson from NC State, the 2 seed, and the 3 seed Spencer Moore for North Carolina, both receiving buys. So now they put themselves in a spot where they win this, and they have clinched a spot 4 at 125, and we're underway. Robinson for NC State in the black singlet, Moore for North Carolina in the white singlet.
Robinson's had a really excellent year for NC State. Has wins over Troy Spratley, a Big 12 finalist, Oklahoma State. Beat Spencer Moore in a close match in the duel. Spencer Moore has been the starter for North Carolina for the past few years. He's a guy we see more college freshmen coming in at 20 years old. He's a guy who entered college around age 17. So he's just coming into his own this year. Should be a good match.
Vince Robinson, a 3-time ACC Wrestler of the Week in his redshirt freshman campaign out of Chicago. He's also a pretty good football and basketball player. His younger brother Jaden is a freshman on the team for the sport management major. Vince Robinson. 2 losses. He lost to Matt Ramos out of Purdue and then lost to the #1 seed at 125, Eddie Ventresca out of Virginia Tech.
Yeah, late takedown in that duel against Ventresca, scored in the last 30 seconds to kind of close that one out. This match is really important as well. We saw Matt Ramos lose in the Big Ten semis. We saw Richard Figueroa, the #2 ranked wrestler and the returning national champion, lose at the Big 12. So the ACC champion would position themselves to a really high seed as well at the national tournament. Nice drag attempt.
Twice Robinson lost in the final of the Illinois State Championships.
Another shot attempt from Robinson.
Spencer Moore, a redshirt junior out of Kentucky.
Stalemate call.
NC State going for their 7th ACC team title in a row.
Pretty incredible what they've built there in Raleigh with Coach Pop.
Coach Pat Papalizio, assisted by Zach Esposito, Kevin Jack, who was a pretty good wrestler there, Tommy Gant.
Moore's done a nice job staying in position and stalking forward in his stance, not breaking his stance. 0-0 into the second period. Robinson gonna go underneath.
There's been a Jacob Casper sighting. I actually thought that's the kind of attire you were gonna wear, Rhino.
Yeah, the velvet suit there.
We'll show it to you at some time here on ACC Network Extra. No score here as we head to the second.
Moore with this ankle ride, and Robinson's sitting into it. Moore throws a leg. Robinson's in good position to end up on top here.
Robinson beat Spencer Moore on January 31 by a 10-4 score.
Robinson trying to secure this reversal, and he has. Huge roar from the NC State fans. Moore looking to get right out, and he's gonna get out.
Rhino, we just don't see as many reversals as we used to, I don't feel like.
I feel like we haven't as well with some of the riding time rules, and with takedowns being worth 3 points now as well. Something that you might see is people try and kind of navigate, look for more of a quicker escape to get back to their feet, rather than kind of work so hard to get a reversal. Nice re-attack. Robinson is so quick. That's going to be a score.
For Robinson, 5-1 lead.
Late in the period as well, he's going to try to secure this ride out. This is, again, really smart edge wrestling here. That was close to one, but see Robinson jump back in on this re-attack, attack the hip, beat Moore to the corner, and end up scoring this takedown.
Five-1 lead. Moore will start down. Robinson from the Wolfpack will let him go. It's 5-2.
Moore continuing to slowly stalk, knowing how quick Robinson is, but he's going to have to pick up his tempo a little bit. Robinson does have a stall warning against him, which could play a role here. Stall on Moore.
.70 remaining in the match. 5-2. Riding time not in play. NC State's Robinson on top of UNC's Moore by 3.
Now we're seeing Moore push the hand fight a little bit more. Stalk a little bit harder. Nice shot by Robinson. Ducks under.
Boy, the timing on that was perfect, knowing that Moore needed a takedown. Robinson goes on offense.
Knowing Moore was stalking harder and harder, bringing that pressure to just take it away. And this is burning a lot of clock.
18 seconds remaining. You can see Moore look at the clock in disgust. He knows that it's going to be hard to get Robinson down in 18 seconds, but he's got to go for it here. He's got to fire. He's got to fire immediately, does he not?
Got to know what, this is what you practice, what you call your go-to, your last 30-second offense.
It's now 10 seconds.
That's probably not where you want to be over-under. He goes for an arm throw.
Robinson slides right out of the arm throw, and Robinson will advance. Congratulations to Vincent Robinson, as not only has he punched his ticket to tonight's championship matchup on ACC Network, he's punched his ticket, win or lose, to the NCAAs. We're going to take a quick break and be back with more wrestling at 1:33.
In the first and last 15 seconds of these periods, you know, in addition to on the edge, it's the guys that just continue to wrestle through the positions come March that have success. And, you know, when you see two guys clashing here and what seems like a little bit of a stalemate, because people don't understand they're jockeying for position, they're getting reads on different feints and reactions here. And, you know, at these last 15 seconds, look for a burst here, because these are where a lot of these matches get won.
That's where we're in right now, that window that Jacob just mentioned. Now 8 seconds remaining, still no score here at 1:33, where I remind you the winner of this not only punches their ticket to tonight's semifinal on ACC Network, but they punch their ticket to the national championship. It's worth taking a look at. There he is, Jacob Kasper. Currently wrestles with WWE as one half of the Creed brothers. The 2018 ACC heavyweight champion, and a highlight of my career, Mr. Kasper. I still talk about that all the time.
I appreciate it. I think I posted it on my Instagram at one point and said if a promo is art, then I would consider myself Picasso, because we had a lot of fun back on that day.
Well, you knew you were meant for this as well. But here's the thing that people need to realize as we're looking for points here is you also are giving back in the coaching realm as well, right?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to join the staff with Coach Lanham in 2018, and we had a lot of success that year with Mitch Finesilver, in addition to the other Finesilver brothers. And man, we had a lot of fun. You know, prior to my WWE days, I enjoyed coaching here alongside, like I said, Coach Lanham, and coaching against guys like Pat Popolizio, like Tony Roby. I think Tony Ramos was around at the time. And, you know, just to see the fact that we had a three-way ACC tie this year, you know, shows again how tough the ACC is, and I take a lot of pride in that. So it was great to get to be part of that coaching staff and to coach in such a great conference.
McGonigal with the first point, Virginia Tech.
And we saw Chris Ayers think about throwing the brick there as they got into a bit of a scramble to really think about if McGonigal had kind of escaped and established that position, chose against it. That's a huge escape for McGonigal given how solid Knox is on top.
Yeah, and to only give up 30 seconds of riding time where, you know, the difference can be riding time, especially in March, I think is going to be really, really a key factor as we enter this third period shortly.
Good shot by Knox, stalling on McGonigal.
Trying to figure it out is Knox. Knox with a 14-3 win over Tyler Chappell to get to this point.
Trying to clear his ankle here. Ten seconds left, short time. Potentially dangerous.
So just a slim 1-0 lead for Connor McGonigal.
We're going to see if Knox decides to go underneath. He got ridden out in the duel, and he's not.
Nope, motioning right to neutral.
Big deep breath from McGonigal looking at the corner. He's got a stall warning as well, so Knox has got to get after it.
Third period, 10 seconds in. A 1-0 lead for McGonigal.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, that kind of surprised me. I thought he would, you know, have made some adjustments and chosen down in that last period for what a lot of people consider to be a guaranteed point, but I just think that speaks to the level of how elite he must be on top and something that he felt in that duel to have getting ridden out and decide, you know, hey, it's probably worth just taking my chances on my feet, push the action, and get the stall call rather than go underneath here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jacob. I was a little bit surprised, but he immediately looked at the corner and just said neutral.
You know, and that kind of speaks to, you know, you had mentioned coaching previously. Sometimes you in the corner will feel a certain type of way, but when your athlete is out there and it's their career and it's their season and, you know, their possible national qualification on the line, you got to trust your athletes sometimes. They're feeling something out there. You've trained them to do what they're supposed to do, and that's what I think we kind of saw happen there.
We're going to get a challenge from McGonigal. He was imploring Zach Tonelli to throw the brick, and Coach Roby obliges.
I thought he was underneath the leg the whole time. Okay, cool. That's why I didn't give it.
See this replay here. So Knox is trying to cut the corner. McGonigal reshoots it, gets a double. Knox ends up in a crotch lift. And I don't think that's going to end up being control. Get a nice angle of it here. Great work by our crew. Looks like Knox is under that leg. I don't think McGonigal quite established control.
I agree with you, Rhino, but I am glad to see that there was an almost score or maybe a near score on the edge there, because I was starting to feel foolish with what I said about the first 15 and last 15 seconds of periods, as well as on the edge, because I really do believe that that's a pivotal part of March wrestling. You have to be able to start and finish period strong and wrestle through those edges. I was telling an athlete of mine that I'm helping coach in Florida down there at the state championships this weekend, man, I don't care if you have to have the referee blow the whistle and tap you to get off of them when you go out of bounds, but wrestle through all of those positions. As long as there's times on the clock, keep wrestling.
Absolutely, and we saw earlier on mat 2, Luca Augustine burn about 10 extra seconds needing to ride out with just understanding space, understanding the edge. This is where guys win in March. They win national titles, effectively scoring in those positions.
1-0. It's worth repeating, a spot in tonight's finals on ACC Network and a guaranteed spot in the NCAA finals in Philadelphia.
Knox has really upped the pressure. McGonigal's just doing a lot of backing up.
Yeah, this is where that traditional stall call doesn't come in quite as much as I feel it should a lot of the time, with one guy holding center and the other guy backing up. I'd like to see Knox go shot to tie here. Would we get no call there?
Stalemate.
I think shot to tie would allow him to set McGonigal's feet and look to get an attempt off, which then might get him as a stall call or an actual attempt to score here.
He's got to go quick though, right, Jacob?
I think
seconds.
so. half the battle, especially at these lighter weights, is to get in on the legs, and then the other half is to finish clean. It takes a while. Great control by McGonigal. Way to control the position, control head position, control wrist ties, and hold really, really firm on the back end there. He did a really, really good and strategic job holding position. It's often not as celebrated as it should be.
Connor McGonigal, and Jacob, he now knows that he's headed to Philadelphia, let alone tonight's action on ACC Network. What do you remember about knowing that you've clinched your spot to the NCAAs?
Yeah, you know, I think in a lot of ways it takes some pressure off, and you know, at this point winning an ACC title becomes a little bit of icing on the cake, but let's be honest, at the start of the year, your goal is to be ACC champ, your goal is to be national champ, and he's just one step closer to making some of those dreams become reality.
All right, let's set the table now at 141 in the semifinals. As you see, Latona Scott with the upset of Homan, Priest with the upset of Miranda, and so we'll have Briar Priest, the 6th seed out of Pitt, taking on Dylan Cedeno, the number 2 seed out of Virginia. This, by the way, Jacob, this has been the mat for the Virginia Cavaliers. It's almost been like a home meet for Virginia as they've been featured on mat 2, and they've had some big wins.
Yeah, it's amazing to see what Coach Garland repeatedly does and has success with at UVA. I mean, I feel every single time we would go into March, a lot of these teams would be peaking, but for some reason it seemed like Virginia was always one of those better teams. You know, they had some marquee wins. You know, I remember, maybe Rhino will be able to help me, the 97-pounder there from UVA that used to wrestle with Hartman, and they had some real battles at the ACC. Zach Nye. I thought his name was Nye, but I wanted to make sure with my Bill Nye, the science guy here in Rhino, and confirm that. But yeah, UVA is always tough come March, and you know, it's no different to see that, but you know, make no mistake about it, I'm sure Coach Gavin has his athlete from Pittsburgh ready to go as well.
Huge win for Kairini on mat 1. Just punched himself in the face twice.
He's a little bit of a psycho, you know I like that, Rhino. And that's why he's a couple-time All-American, baby.
He is a psycho, that's well said.
The NC State fans love it, but we're looking forward to this one. As Jacob said, you know, Virginia's done a great job of preparing their guys. They game plan well at this point in the year. As we said, they won the ACC's last in 2015, and they had a really good round 1. Cedeno's a guy who's looking to get back to the national tournament. He's had a really nice season. He won the Southern Scuffle this year, and he's wrestling a guy in Priest who's essentially playing with house money. He was a late replacement for Pittsburgh. He ends up getting an upset in round 1. And he's got an opportunity to punch his ticket as a guy who was a reserve who finds out this week, hey, you're wrestling the ACCs.
And Rhino, I was on that red eye, so I was not fortunate enough to catch that first match. What did Priest do to really, you know, pull that upset and to have success there?
Really held good position, good scrambling, get his hips back center on offense, and just not breaking his stance. Ended up getting a feet to back against Miranda early in overtime, caught him off balance and sealed the match.
Yeah, that's sometimes all it takes, is holding really good position and letting that other guy make a mistake, or to capitalize on something that you've seen earlier in the match. I like that Priest is already putting his butt to the center and kind of controlling center and setting that tempo early. Hey, I'm an underdog. I'm a lower seated guy, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay in your face, and like you said, I'm going to play with house money. I'm not afraid to wrestle. I'm not afraid to scrap here.
Well, and Priest held tough against Cedeno back on February 21. He only lost 4-2. So that's got to give him some belief.
That's a great fact. Yeah, that plays huge, especially with 3-point takedowns now. You know, that's a coin toss away from going the other way then, and kind of in a dominant fashion, you know.
What a treat to be with Jacob Casper and Dylan Rhino Ryan. D. Linky here on mat 2, the semifinals. At 141, there's 4 NCAA qualifiers.
Cedeno is a guy who came out of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, one of the powerhouse programs now led by Coach Dom Santoli. Seen a lot of their wrestlers end up in the ACC. Good shot by Cedeno.
Priest, meanwhile, out of Greensburg, Pennsylvania, a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, and he was a PA state champ, which is nothing to scoff about either. You got New Jersey and Pennsylvania guys here scrapping it out in the ACC, and I think, that's partly what has caused the rise in ACC action also. Some of these dominant states on a nationwide basis, they're sending guys to the ACC because it has become a premier conference for wrestling.
Absolutely, and just so many great academic institutions as well that these guys are picking ACC schools for beyond wrestling lifestyle. That's great work by Cedeno on the edge. Exactly what Mr. Casper said over here. Winning on the edge comes into play in March, setting yourself up for success.
And Priest was real stingy there. He was fighting hands. He was staying balanced. He's not going anywhere. I know Coach Rowe would have liked to hear that.
Yeah, stingy, yeah.
As we get another look at it here. Yeah, you'll see he's real stingy. He's fighting for position, but, right here, Dylan shows why he is the number 2 seed, the composure that he had to finish that takedown on the edge.
Cedeno, who pinned Duke's Christian Coleman. Took him 4 minutes and 24 seconds in his first match.
Good forward pressure there.
This is a good ride, and this is how he really won the scuffle, with just tough situational wrestling. He's going to get a ride out here going to the second period, 3-0. Put himself in great position.
He has riding time at 45. Jacob, I got to ask you real quick, and I'll look for a quick answer, but I actually broke Kevin Egan into broadcasting. Did you run across him at all during your WWE days?
Yeah, we've crossed paths once or twice. While it's a worldwide business, it's also a small business, so you have a little bit of interactions with everybody. So I did not know that. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah. It was in soccer, which is where he now is full-time, by the way. But I thought he was great with WWE.
Yeah, you see that a lot. There's a woman by the name of Charlie who used to be with the WWE. Actually, I saw her on Friday. She's working still under the TKO banner. She was working for Power Slap, doing something similar, actually. So, sometimes people use WWE as a launching ground for, really, really big things to come.
You're hearing the wonderful pipes of Jacob Casper joining us here at Mat 2. Semifinals, where you win and you're in tonight's 8 p.m. Under the Lights Linear ACC Network Championships, where Brandon Neff from the ACC pulls out all the stops. They got the smoke and sometimes even kind of mini fireworks. I'm not sure if they're going to let that go in Cameron Indoor. No, I guess the word is they're going to limit some of that here in Cameron.
Hey, I can tell you that's probably not Brandon Neff's doing. Like you said, he likes to put on a performance and a show, so shout out to Mr. Neff.
Amen.
Yeah, Brandon Neff, great ambassador for wrestling in our conference. Loves it. Always puts on a great show. We always have a great team tournament. It's really a celebration of the season, and he does an excellent job kind of connecting people through this conference and through this sport to kind of continue to keep throwing this great event.
Got a good match going on here. It's just 3-1. 52 seconds remaining in the second.
Cedeno has 1:07 of riding time, but if he chooses down in this next period, you would like to think that Priest could ride him for at least 8 seconds to get that point back and render this essentially a 3-1 match.
Good elbow clear, and he ends up with a cradle.
Edge. Wow, he almost just did another big feet to back to blow open another match there.
Going to see it again here. Priest does a good job sucking this in. Cedeno tries to roll through. Priest nearly catches a cradle. Cedeno is nearly in big trouble. And the officials are already going to a review to take a look at this.
And whether this scores or not, I love this wrestling by both guys. Cedeno doesn't give up on the edge here, continues to wrestle and fight out of the position, and Priest saw the opportunity for, basically a kill strike and really to blow the match open, and he took it. For me, I always worried about in my career the risks that I wasn't willing to take rather than the ones that I was willing to take. So I always wanted to let it all fly and just leave everything out there, and that's what you saw him just do. So I love this wrestling by both guys on the edge here.
Yeah, like staying offensive in good position, controlled though, and as you said, you can't be afraid to score. You put yourself behind the 8 ball when you do that. And both of these guys are stalking, maintaining good position, continuing to wrestle on the edge. You talked about Priest look to kind of end up with a match closer there as a surprise here. And it seems like Cedeno did a nice job bellying out. Go down the officials to take a good look at this. Obviously, it impacts the flow of the match, but you want to get these things right.
Jacob and Rhino, let's take one more look at what's under review and get your thoughts here.
Good job catching it. It's close.
Now, Rhino, refresh me and the people at home viewing. Now, you do get reaction time on everything except, waist lock situation where you're behind with the hand coming down, correct?
Yeah, and I think that's where the officials really are going to have this debate of, is this within the frame of reaction time, or did Priest have control beyond that, where this is going to be a 3-point takedown? And to me, I suspect they're going to keep the call on the mat here, but it's really close.
I love, too, here on the follow-up, Priest comes up to his feet. He knows he's on the edge. He knows, the time's ticking, and maybe he's put some wear on Cedeno's body at this point, so he just gets out of bounds and gets the fresh reset there, too.
Love it, too. Ends the scramble. Illegal move. Looks like we may have gotten the head official involved.
And what could that have been? Was there a headgear grab there, Dylan? Or what do you think that was?
We'd have to see it again. I'm not so sure. It looked like a pretty typical wrestling position there. But they're coming back to the monitor again to talk about this.
Hold is what it looked like there, is what he just signaled. I wish I had a little better insight to offer as to what exactly that was, but I did not catch it on the monitor as it was replaying.
And that looms quite large in this match, especially with 3-point takedowns.
Three, 2, tight one here. Semifinals at 141, where they'll have 4 NCAA qualifiers coming out of this weight class. 5 seconds remaining in the second, which will set up a fiery final period.
There you go.
Now we know it's an illegal hold, gentlemen. Let's take one more look at it.
So we're gonna look. Cedeno has this whizzer here, grabs a wrist.
Is it on the cutback? Were they?
That's what I'm thinking as well. Yeah, he gets his foot up in the air.
Maybe left his feet to attempt the cutback is what we're speculating here.
I think that's a great call. Mr. Casper over here, great catch. Looking both of Cedeno's legs off the mat, on the edge, on the corner of Priest's knee, illegal cutback.
And interesting here, Cedeno didn't choose to go down, and thus basically has riding time, not locked up by any stretch, but he has that riding time point in addition to the 3 points he has on the board. So unless Priest is able to get a takedown and get 7+ seconds of riding time, 8+ seconds of riding time, there's going to be an additional point going up on the board here at the end.
Yeah, he's basically taking a bet, you're not going to take me down.
I love it. I love it, to be honest. You know how I am, though, Rhino. I like, don't tell me, show me.
Gambling on himself here. I like
that.
it as well. We've seen in so many instances, the automatic bottom choice or the reflexive going under costs guys in matches, and he's bold. He says, I'm going to go neutral. He's not going to take me down.
Or you see the I'm going to choose bottom and I'm going to kind of do nothing this last period.
Yeah.
Take my time, control hands. Instead, he said, no, I like scrapping on my feet. Did you almost just put me to my back? Possibly. Was the cut back there? Maybe. But you know what? Let's go on our feet and let's settle this. And I just love that.
Hear the voice of the legend that is Jacob Casper. Alongside Rhino, my name is Dean Linke. Delighted to be with you for semifinal action, Mat 2 at Cameron Indoor.
But he can eat that.
Wow.
Given he's got the ride.
Needs to wrestle here on the edge, though.
Gotta stay in bounds.
Yep. Circle in. Great action by both guys, man. This is a tough, gritty match.
Cedeno already backing up with 4 seconds remaining here. Priest gonna run out of time, and the riding time is the difference, and Dylan Cedeno knows it. He's headed to tonight's finals at 8 o'clock, and he's headed to Philadelphia for the NCAAs. Yeah, the tongue out Arini style as we move to 149, as we've got Stanford and North Carolina featured, both of them with impressive records.
Yeah, this should be a really interesting match. Both of these guys have been All-Americans. Lachlan McNeil, 2-time All-American at 141 pounds, coming up to 149. Jaden Abbas was an All-American as a freshman. He's looking to get back into that form in this weight.
So I was fortunate enough to spend some time recently out in San Jose with my close friend Daniel Cormier. And while I was there, I was at Daniel Cormier's Wrestling Academy. Who helps coach there is Jerry Abbas, Jaden's father. I ran into Jerry prior to this round, and I asked him, what adjustments are you going to make going into this match? He said, well, I'm going to keep them close to my heart. All I can say, though, is that when it comes to scrambling, a good scrambler does not scramble just to scramble. They scramble to get out of the position and to score, and that's something we're going to focus on going into this matchup.
Abbas pinning Pitt Solomon in 2:38 to advance to the semifinals. Meanwhile, we watched Lachlan McNeil put on a display, a tech fall in 4:47, 19-4 over Sean O'Donnell.
Yeah, that was a real technical masterclass. McNeil just attacking the body in multiple ways, really getting his body just going, working through different positions.
Oh, it was a catch and release and crush show.
But you see that more and more, right? McNeil's a guy who has not only now collegiate experience, but international experience and success on the international stage. And those guys take this and they go, I can wrestle grown men that are the most successful in the world and be dominant there. I'm going to take this back and wrestle kids my own age and be able to do the exact same thing.
So well said, Jacob.
Well, unfortunately, I was on the receiving end of it from Kyle Snyder a couple times. So.
We've talked about with McNeil, he's got a great relationship with his coaching staff, and you know, he takes direction really well. He'll snap his head towards the corner, he'll score. He really follows that game plan well.
As we see Tony Ramos and Ben Darmstadt in the corner there for McNeil. Ben Darmstadt's an Ohio guy who I actually had the pleasure of coaching at Fargo a couple times. He won a couple national titles for us. And then Tony Ramos, obviously national champ at Iowa. So those are two good guys to have in your corner to listen to.
Darmstadt's college career unfortunately impacted by some injuries, given the type of talent he had in the top position. Was once #1 guy in the country at 197 pounds.
I mean this with all pun intended. He was an assassin, Rhino.
Yes, yes, he was.
Speaking of assassins, Jacob, I went to high school with Mark the Hammer Coleman.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Wow. That is a legend.
Right?
That is a legend through and through, and a guy who's not only battled, inside the octagon and on the collegiate wrestling mat, but also with some adversities in life. I think he was involved in a fire recently. And
saved his mom and dad's life.
What a hero through and through. That's amazing.
No scoring in this period, but it's been very physical. A lot of hard clubs from Abbas. McNeil's been stalking forward.
Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't got to see much of what Jerry Abbas was alluding to about limiting these scrambles, because we haven't gotten a position to that yet. But I'm looking forward to that. At some point in this match, someone's going to find themselves deep in on a leg, and we'll see if, kind of what he alluded to outside comes into play here.
We'll have to see it in the second through one. No score here. Semifinals at 149, where once again 4 NCAA qualifiers, 38 guaranteed. We have been speculating a little bit, Jacob, but how many at large the ACC gets, but they usually get minimum of 3, sometimes 5 or 6.
Yeah, and having talked to Coach Lanham earlier this week, there's a couple weights where the auto allocations don't match the seeds. You know, you have a guy that's a lower seed who actually is the one who got the auto allocation for the weight. So you'd like to think a couple more are coming down the pipe for the conference there.
Yeah, we've seen some bid thieves in other conferences, so you don't want to be one of those guys sitting on the outside right now, but you know, hopefully for the conference we get some of those guys who would earn their way and get to perform in Philadelphia and show what their hard work has been for.
Yeah, I can tell you, I was one that never wanted to leave my fate or my destiny in someone else's hands come March. I wanted to make sure I punched my own ticket and did the bidding for myself come this point of the season, because you never truly know. Especially yesterday, you know, across the college wrestling landscape, there were multiple returning national champions that went down.
Yeah, tons of upsets, Jacob.
Top 3 guys at 141 all went down.
That's a big escape for McLaughlin here to send this as 1-0 with 38 seconds of riding time. Again, every single point, every single second matters. The edges matter. In March, you just can concede nothing and try to take everything from everybody.
Lachlan McNeil with a 1-0 lead over Jaden Abbas.
He's starting to really put some more forward pressure and kind of heat up his feet. We saw Abbas coming forward a bit more in the first period. Now he's the one kind of moving backwards a bit.
And I apologize to Lachlan McNeil. The red eye got the better of me there as I butchered his name on broadcast. But Dean, you are an amazing partner. I appreciate you catching that and glossing over it for me. I wish I had a voice like you for this.
You're so kind, my man.
See, this is a position that, you know, Nick Wisdowski actually helped me better understand after my college career. You'll see them go forehead to forehead a lot for head position. That actually isn't where you want to be. You actually want your temple looking into their ear hole. And at that point, you limit the offense that they're able to get off, and you're able to open up both sides of the body for your own. And it wasn't, again, something that I understood until after my college career, but now I see it in striking and MMA. You know, I see it, and I preach it to all my guys that I coach, but it's a big, big difference. And if one of those guys could really dig for better head position, I think you're going to see more offensive attacks get off.
Yeah, these little angles, the physics of it for us nerds, but exactly. You want to cut off the defensive opportunities for people and put more of that pressure on.
Right to that tripod. He's controlling the inside hand the best he can, and he should be out. Yep.
Here we go.
That was
tied
really
at
nice
once.
job by Abbas.
Hopefully one of these guys get to implore that, you know, advice that we gave him on head positioning here, and we can get a good attack off and see a little bit of that scrambling that I've been preaching about.
We're going to see these guys start to really go.
I feel like we saw a big grin from Lachlan McNeil after that shot from Jaden. He's into it.
Oh, they're dancing a little bit, they're playing a little bit. This is beautiful to see two artists at their craft.
A stall on McNeil, that.
He might get it right back here. Nope, wrestled through the edge.
That one stuns me a little bit. He's been kind of back to the center, putting pressure on. We've seen a lot of ankle pick attempts from Abbas, but it's really been McNeil dictating the pace and kind of the center of the mat so far. You know, looking like a freestyle wrestler. And he gets it right back. Good call by Jacob Casper. He's trying to get these guys going.
Hey, I love action, I love performance, and I like putting on a show, and these guys are doing an amazing job of it. Sometimes the score does not dictate how much action there has been or how much jockeying for position, and it's difficult for an outside eye to catch it, but these guys are quite literally playing chess in front of us and not checkers with this positioning.
They truly are.
Exactly. You've seen them change their feet position, trying to bait an attack as they switch feet to go to attack.
There it is. Wow.
That was a good look by Abbas.
All right, we're gonna need a little extra wrestling here.
And I was just gonna say, both of these guys don't seem phased right now. They both seem to be in great shape. Usually you can tell if one guy's dragging a little bit. You'll see a little bit of a sock pull, but you don't see any of that right now. These are two guys on the line ready to go.
Absolutely, good position. Neither guy's really breathing heavy, and they've been working hard the past minute and a half.
I have a feeling, Dean, kind of what I said earlier, and I might stick my foot in my mouth on this. Half the battle is going to be getting in on the leg, and I think the other half is going to be to finish this shot. We haven't really seen anyone deep on an attack yet, but I'm not convinced the first one we see is,
Anticipated the roll through, and McNeil uses the underhook throw by to end up in the finals.
He bypassed the legs altogether.
Gonna get a good look at it here. Throw by, Abbas goes cartwheel, and McNeil just let him go by and covered his hips, and he's in the finals, and you'll see him in Philadelphia.
He's a postseason phenom. He just always brings it in the postseason.
He really does. He'll take losses in the regular season trying to figure things out. He's always ready to go at the ACCs and at the NCAA tournament.
On this mat, we saw Michael Giaffre upset Dylan Evans in an exciting match. Ed Scott took out Nick Titini, so that's who we've got. The 6th seed for the Cavaliers, Michael Giaffre, and the 2 seed for NC State, Ed Scott, at 157, where we have 3 qualifiers.
Ed Scott, returning ACC champion, ended up beating Bryce Andonian last year in the semifinals and beat Sonny Santiago in the finals. He also has another ACC title where he beat Austin O'Connor in the finals, a 2-time national champion.
Ed Scott, an All-American in 2023, trying to make it 4 straight years where he makes it 2 nationals.
Yeah, we've been blessed a couple All-American versus All-American matchups here. But the difference here, and correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation once again, Dean, Giaffre is not an All-American, but he can make his name by beating an All-American. One guy that I know, Ric Flair, he once said, to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And Ed Scott has been the man at this weight for a little while now, but things could change in a blink of an eye in this match.
Absolutely. We're talking about that house money again. You're taking the red eye out from the Vegas area. Giaffre's really got nothing to lose. Ed Scott's a guy who's very dangerous from these positions, and as he ends getting oh wow, Giaffre scrambles out onto a leg, and he's gonna score. Another great scramble from a Giaffre brother.
Jacob Casper mentions the nature boy, and we got the best scramble so far.
Oh no, you hate
Ed
to see
Scott,
that. Little shaking
injured.
up. Moving a little slow. You know, Giaffre is a California state champ in 2022 for Buchanan. They had an amazing state tournament again. It's a bit of a dynasty out there. You know, I closely followed the California state tournament the last couple weekends for a lot of the guys that I helped coach at Gilroy, who had an amazing tournament as well. And California continues to prove with one state tournament just how tough it can be.
Absolutely, as you said, one division, one true state champion in a huge state like California. And they're continuing to produce more and more great talent. They've got some phenomenal high school coaches out there with, you know, Tirapelli, as you talked about, Daniel Cormier at Gilroy, with the assistants they have on that staff. It's just producing more and more guys who are ready for college to take that next step.
Jacob, you saw the Fine Silvers, 4 of them do incredible work. We saw Jack and Michael Giaffre both with massive wins right here on mat 2 for Virginia.
Yeah, you can feed off of that. You know, like I was telling Rhino earlier, he, you know, as he praised me and it made me a little uncomfortable. A big reason why I competed the way I did was for the guys that I had in the room. And speaking from a tag team with my own brother, when my own brother's out there and doing well, that fuels me to want to perform at a higher level. And they're going to feed off of each other. And, you know, that's a dangerous combo come March.
If you want to know the type of guy that Jacob Casper is, when his brother made the Ohio State finals, he hopped on a plane for $700, $800 to get there in person and watch his brother Drew win the Ohio State title. And that's the type of teammate, family member he is. And that's why, you know, as a guy who is a teammate with him, I, you know, love him, and the people love him here.
I appreciate that, Rhino. That was about the only $700 left I had in my account at the time, too. So it put me on some hard times. But you know what? Those memories are priceless. That's still one of the best memories, and one of the best things I've done with my life is watch my younger brother win a state title.
In Ohio, was that at the Shot?
Oh, it was at the Shot. I think it might have been Value City at the time, but it was at the Shot in Steen Center. Schottenstein Center, you know, famous for wrestling, as is the Hershey Arena in PA, where Ed Scott is from. Ed Scott, I believe, was a state champ as well there a couple times. But I feel like Ed Scott's, I don't want to say lost a step this year, but it seems like he's dealing with some injuries or having to push through something here. Something's a little bit amiss. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
I was going to say in this match, he looked over the corner at that right shoulder, and something isn't right with that because he's not really using it like he typically does. And he did it again. He pointed at it again. Something's wrong with that right arm.
He's kind of letting that right hand hang there, too. And, man, I love Ed Scott. I didn't mean that in a disparaging way. I love to watch him compete. He truly is a guy that would let it all fly. So just bothers me a little bit to see him maybe not at 100%. But, you know, to be honest, I'm not sure how many guys are at 100% in this point of the year. And I'm sure he would reiterate the same, as there's no excuses. You just have to find a way to get the job done.
Yeah. And
well, that includes Michael Giaffre, who missed 5 weeks and most of the dual action with an injury, but has come back in pretty good form here. This would be another massive upset.
Absolutely. Scott's still so dangerous. He's a guy that likes to work from his underhook. He can throw. He's got really solid leg attacks when he goes to him. At times, it's when he gets in some of these scramble situations. Nice redrag, and he's in on the leg. He's going to have to use that right arm. Giaffre does a nice job getting to far ankle.
You see shades of guys like Kevin Jack and Nick Wisdowski who helped pave the way in that NC State room with that drag to get to that single there. You know, it's just really cool to see guys from our generation influence even, you know, the culture of the program this much further removed.
That's a good call. Wisdowski made a living off that short drag.
.40 remaining. Giaffre, the 6th seed, trying to hang on and take down the 2 seed and make it to tonight's 8 p.m. ACC Wrestling Championships on the ACC Network from Cameron Indoor in Durham.
Great build and getting his hips back underneath him. He can take his time a little bit with his finish. I would like to have seen him stand him up, walk him back to the center, and get a lot of real estate so you can finish this the way you need.
He's got to pull him and turn quick.
Yep. Trying to score here before the end of the period. Giaffre is going to get out of this period with the lead.
You know, it's funny, you said he had to get to it quick, but he had 10 seconds left still there. And while 10 seconds to, you know, everyday life doesn't seem like a lot, it can seem like an eternity while you're out there. And if he would have taken the 2 to 3 extra seconds there, I think to truly walk him back to the center, he might have had the real estate he needed to not have to be diving in on that leg and to just truly finish it.
And we've seen that short time matter before in things like the national tournament. Jason Ness hitting a late super duck, put Dan Dennis to his back and win a national title. And those are positions that matter.
Ed Scott letting Giaffre get to his feet here, a little bit uncontested. You know, he was kind of in all over his legs there at the end of that period, and sometimes you feel that. You have a feel for, you know, when a guy's letting his feet stay in place or when you can get an attack off, as we see a stall call go in the way of Ed Scott to make this a 3-4 match here, and things are about to get interesting with 1:30 left of wrestling.
Yeah, a lot of wrestling left with stall points already, and Scott's really upping the pressure. He likes to get to this left side underhook. This is where he likes to work.
Now, what are you saying if you're in the corner for Giaffre, and what are you saying if you're in the corner for Ed Scott here?
For Ed Scott, you got to get back to that. Keep up the pressure underhook, put him on the edge, make the ref think about calling Giaffre for stalling. And if you're that Virginia corner, he's got to get his rear to the center and stay in there and move, put one out there exactly like that. That's what you want. You get the ref off your back there.
You punch that control tie with that underhook like he has. Oh, as he clears the tie right to a deep attack.
This crowd is so behind.
To come alive.
He's going to get this.
I love this. A big build to the body lock right now. This is how I like to wrestle.
It's Jacob
this is ACC Wrestling in March, baby. Let's go.
We're waiting for Scott to make the move. He made the move.
Beautiful to come up to the body. That's a champion mentality.
That's what I was just going to say. I said earlier, Ed Scott maybe isn't at 100%, but he shows that he's got a lot of heart and can find a way to dig deep when it matters. Winners win, baby. That's what Glenn Lanham used to always say.
Ed Scott beat Geoffrey 11-4 on January 17.
Geoffrey goes roll. He's going to have to go big.
"10 seconds for me, Geoffrey. If he doesn't make the top 3, he may have shown enough to the committee."
That's the thing, we'll see. I mean, that win over Evans is a huge win. He's obviously talented. He's going to have to fight his way through the backside, but this is the loudest it's been in here today for Ed Scott, two-time ACC champion. He dug deep because something ain't right with that arm. He's still not using it as he runs off the mat. And you don't see Papalizio pop like that as much just in the semifinal round. And he popped up off that chair, gave Ed Scott a nice slap on the back.
We're going to take a break as we've got semifinal action from Mat 2 and Cameron Indoor. It's the ACC Wrestling Championships on ACC Network Extra.
Throwing a little bit of a twist into the seeding here in the semifinal round. Church knocking off the 4 seed Jared Kessler of Pitt earlier today. So it's Hunter Garvin and Mac Church in the top half of the semifinals at 165. Garvin the top seed, 17-6 this year. Church the 5 seed, 12-11, but a little momentum right now with Virginia Tech. Ventresca, Hinson, and Hippolito all picking up semifinal wins.
Yeah, Mac Church has done a much better job the second half of the year of winning the close matches. Almost all of his matches are really close, and now he's starting to find that formula to win some of the close ones. Garvin's about as dynamic as they come offensively, can score in many different ways. I was in Stanford a couple weeks ago. The coaches were always joking. He only scores with one thing at a time, and then he never goes back to it. So he can score in many different ways. It's really just up for him to decide.
Garvin, a Team USA member, competed at the U23 World Championships over in Albania, won a match over at the U23 Worlds, went 1-1. Trent talked about really versatile offensive wrestler, has an extensive Greco background, so that certainly is part of his weapon of choice when he goes upper body with you.
Yeah, with him having a good Greco background, it just opens up a lot of opportunities for transition wrestling, right? If I get to a double leg and the guy pulls me up, I can come up to a body lock. Or if I'm in a body lock, I can use that to take the guy to the edge. Or, you know, if I have a good head pinch or a chest wrap, he's very good in these type of freestyle Greco situations, but he applies them to folk style wrestling better than almost anybody in the country.
Stoppage here with 1:53 to go in the opening period. Garvin matched up with Mac Church, redshirt freshman. Church out of Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. One of those guys, you watch his trajectory, just keeps getting physically bigger and bigger. Told us that probably best suited at 157, but he has put on an effort to get some size and weight and fill this 165 spot for Virginia Tech. Utilized his red shirt a year ago, went 9-8 during that red shirt season, coming off a couple of PA state titles from his high school days with Waynesburg Central.
Yeah, interestingly enough, in wrestling, a lot of talk gets put on cutting weight. And I think you're seeing a lot more now that guys are going up in weight classes. And it's just as hard to put on really good weight as it is to cut weight. So it has its own challenges. Obviously, you're not hungry and thirsty, but you got to be really disciplined by doing it the right way. Mac Church has done a good job, and I think that's why he's doing better towards the second half of the season. He's starting to grow into that body a little bit. Garvin is just a really tough puzzle to figure out because he can score in so many different ways. You saw him go wrist control and look front head offense. As you see here, he gets that 2-on-1, he throws himself in, controls that wrist, and then really just looks for his go behind offense.
Hey, you talk to a lot of the wrestlers who are bumping up a weight. They say they can put the weight on, but then sustaining it is so darn tricky.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You know, you're used to, you're so hydrated and you're putting so much food in that you're losing so much in your workouts. It's like, wait, I didn't want to lose that much. You know, it's like a totally different issue that they've never had before.
Garvin with a 3-0 lead for Stanford. Returning All-American as a freshman for the Cardinal. Just the 3rd freshman All-American in the long, rich history of Stanford wrestling. Placed 6th last year at this weight as the 20 seed. Final few moments off this first period clock, and a solid business-like approach from Hunter Garvin through 3 minutes.
Yeah, good ability for Garvin to be patient and wait for his opportunity to open up. He got his takedown. He built up his riding time to over a minute. Sets himself up going into the 2nd period. We're going to get a little bit of blood time. Mac Church, I believe.
Interesting path for Garvin, who grew up in the Midwest, in fact, in Hawkeye country, Iowa City West. Grew up in Iowa City, Iowa. Thought originally that it actually might be Iowa State and UNI, the other 2 big wrestling programs from that state. He really wasn't thinking Stanford too much, but boy, he took a visit. He said it all clicked really quickly, called it one of the best experiences that he ever had, and man, he made it official that he was packing his suitcase and heading west. And Stanford, with the development last year, and we talked about the All-American showing, what a freshman year it was.
Yeah, it sure is. And you talk about Stanford, what a beautiful campus, what an awesome school, and to have them in the ACC, it just adds so much more excitement. You know, going back to Garvin's All-American run, probably kind of not something that people really expected, but he has a ton of confidence in himself, and that's such a big thing going into the national tournament. Is, do you believe that you can win? Do you believe you have the skills to win big matches? And Garvin's someone that certainly has that.
Right now, a hammer on top, and the fact that he is just not giving Mac Church anything to work with underneath there. Just as I say that, Church is finally able to break free, a second away from 2 minutes of riding time from Garvin. Church got popped in the eye. Going back to Garvin's roots in Iowa, won 3 state titles in high school. One of Iowa's top ranked seniors coming out of the state. Go back to some of the bigger names, Alex Thompson, who chose Nebraska back in 2018. Good work here by Garvin once again. Spiraling him down for 3.
Man, you see some of that technique that he does, and we say he's dynamic, right? Off of Church's attack, he gets to his 2-on-1. He reaches around and gets a bit of a lock in an unconventional way, and really shows some of his Greco-Roman experience with his back arch to slam Church down, but also to stay disciplined enough to stay feet in the mat to get the takedown. So you notice this, you know, comes back, hooks that, takes a back step, back arches, and then finds his takedown. You don't see those takedowns all the time. Really impressive wrestling that Garvin's able to do with keeping his legs in the center of the mat.
All Hunter Garvin so far in this 2nd period. 15 seconds to go. Tough treading right now for Church underneath. Garvin in a good position to ride him out. That's what he is going to do. Over 2.5 minutes of riding time, and now Garvin's choice as he goes underneath.
Yeah, definitely, if you're Garvin, you want to get out right away and get back to your feet and work some of those offensive attacks. You're up 6-1. Get a quick escape, go up 7-1, start trying to chase down bonus points if you can. Church, you know, he's gotten you twice in neutral. If you can commit to a right on top as he cuts him away. And if you're Church, you got to look for some offense. And that last takedown that he gave up, he kind of shot into his legs from space. It's going to have to be more than one shot. Maybe a fake, put him underneath, try to chase corner, or a misdirection. Something to throw Garvin off.
Garvin with riding time. 2.5 minutes, 7-1 lead. Cruising his way here in the center of the mat. This is one of those weight classes where the defending ACC champion is back from Virginia, Nick Hamilton. 4 defending champions from last year as a whole across the 10 weights, with Hamilton, Kyarini, Ed Scott, and TJ Stewart. The defending champion opportunity to defend his title. Nick Hamilton just won over on Mat 2, 4-2 over Derek Fields. So it certainly appears we are heading for a Hamilton-Garvin Sunday night championship here in the ACC. Stall on red, that's on Church, his first stall call. Working off that 2-on-1. And Hunter Garvin trying to get 3 late, does. And that will be it. With the riding time as well, a bonus point for the Cardinal. 11-1 with the riding time. Hunter Garvin into the finals tonight, where he will take on and try to knock off the defending champ, Nick Hamilton. 174 pounds. The top seed is Josh Ogasanya. Take a look at the depth this year in the ACC with Singleton and Wallach, Luca Augustine, an NCAA qualifier, and then the 2 seed, the young freshman Lorenzo Norman, in the finals tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern on the ACC network. Seeds holding true to form as we get our first look of the day at Josh Ogasanya, North Carolina. That's Singleton of NC State. He was in a barn burner earlier today as he knocked off Lennox Wallach of Virginia Tech. Hard-fought battle for Singleton. Let's see what he has for Ogasanya.
Yeah, these guys had a really tight dual meet match back whenever, NC State wrestled UNC. Ogasanya got a takedown at the end of the period and rode out. Singleton responded with a takedown, but that escape at the end of the period proved to be the difference maker. Ogasanya is someone that's really, really strong. He's good at shooting these shots and then coming to the upper body. Singleton also good upper body. So good style matchup here. Both guys like to be in over-under. Singleton's defense, he showcased it a little bit in his first match. Wallach got to his leg and he defended late. He's very comfortable defense, and NC State coaches, they want to see him go out and score first. Go out and get to your offense, and then you can rely on your defense if you need to.
Ogasanya, one of those wrestlers, too, you don't want to fall behind on, because he is a tough one to score on. The senior from River Forest, Illinois. His first year competing at 174, not only his first year at North Carolina, but that weight. Here he changes levels quickly, but Singleton able to cut him off.
You see some of that defense, and then both guys going right to over-under, what I was talking about.
Singleton in on that leg attack. Ogasanya, crafty, able to clear that leg. Near the edge, Singleton still initiating the action, driving him off toward that circle, but both wrestlers reposition into the center.
Yeah, some of that strength from Ogasanya. Singleton did a great snatch single to get to the leg. Ogasanya really kicked his foot down hard to get it free. Both guys extremely strong for this weight class.
Ogasanya coming in this offseason from Columbia, spent 4 years at the Ivy League institution, only wrestled 5 matches last year, 2-time NCAA qualifier, both in 23 and 22. Won a match at Nationals each of those 2 seasons. Opportunity to hit the transfer portal and whistle for Rob Cole, and really to no surprise, the job that Cole has done in Chapel Hill, and a regular season championship in just year 2 for Cole.
Yeah, very quick success rate for Rob Cole. That's to be expected. Just doing a great job this year of getting the most out of the guys that they have. You know, I think you look at some of the results earlier in the season, their guys are way better now than they were at the start of the year. And you're seeing additions like Ogunsanya who are really coming into his own form and wrestling the best that he can at the end of the season.
Cole returning to his alma mater last year after successful stints, that long time run with Cornell, and then great job recruiting, brought in a lot of talent to Stanford. Now doing the same thing in Chapel Hill, and look at Singleton here as he catches Ogunsanya, trying to bridge his way out of trouble, and the flexibility there for Ogunsanya. But 4 on the near fall and then 2 on the reserve.
Those are huge back points for Singleton and huge confidence for him. Even giving up the reversal, if he gets his escape, it's really only a 1-point difference there. But with the back points, that really opens things up for him. He's really strong on top, and you see Ogunsanya was doing a great job of sealed off. Singleton just stepped up, sucked him back, and got big back points. Now he's up 5-2 in the driver's seat here. I think we're going to see Ogunsanya start to pick up his action and maybe get back to that leg attack that he did earlier in the first period. One of the adjustments that Singleton has had to make this year, because he is so strong defensively, he's used to guys getting to his leg and he's very comfortable there. He's trying to make a conscious effort of not letting guys get set in the first place, not letting guys get a free shot to his leg, get his head in the way, get some wrist control. That way you can use some of your head hands defense and not always have to rely on your baseline. See that snatch single again by Singleton. This time he's got to keep his foot up in the air and not let Ogunsanya bend his leg. Got to try to bring him back to the center if he can. Ogunsanya is really strong here defensively.
Second time Singleton has been in on that leg, and the second time Ogunsanya has cleared it out without any damage inflicted.
What you see Ogunsanya do defensively is he gets his leg bent, okay? Now here we're going to go back to the back points. Watch how Singleton steps into this, throws his hips back, throws his leg in, catches that side headlock, and starts getting back points.
Short time in this second period. Singleton the 5-2 lead. And he will carry that 3-point advantage into the third period. Without hesitation, Singleton says, let's go down underneath.
You see Pat Popolizio look at Singleton, point to his head. It's all mental at this point, right? Don't shut down. Continue to finish the match. You got 2 minutes to win this match. Don't shut down. Don't go defensively. Ogunsanya's going to say, okay, let's put you on your feet. I need more time to work on my feet because I got to get 2 takedowns probably to win this match.
Top seed on the ropes a little bit here at 174 pounds. Ogunsanya trailing 6-2. The action goes out of bounds. North Carolina wanted that stretch just a little bit longer.
Yeah, Ogunsanya did a good job of backing Singleton back to the edge. If you're Singleton, you don't want to go to the edge so quick. Stay in there and hand fight. You don't want to get hit with a stall call and then risk putting yourself in a position where you could get taken down and give up a stall point. Ogunsanya, good shot. Singleton's pretty good here as well. See Ogunsanya get that foot really high. He's going to bring it back to the center and make sure he's got plenty of space. See him try to trip. Now he's got the foot really high. He's just got to make sure that Singleton's ankle doesn't slip off of his shoulder and put it down to the mat. There he's trying to kind of bum rush him a little bit, and he does. He gets Singleton off balance and gets an easy takedown. Still a minute left. Ogunsanya's not out of this match. He just needs one more takedown to go get the win.
Stall call underneath on Singleton. 6-5. Ogunsanya, the top seed. There's the point, so now he can go right back at it.
Yeah, he's got 40 seconds left. He's having success getting to the legs. He's got a stall call on Singleton. If he takes him out, he's going to get another one. There's the stall call. See him really just get Singleton's leg out of position and get him off balance.
Momentum clearly with Josh Ogasanya late. Singleton just trying to hang on now. 25 seconds.
If you're Singleton, you got to get to your over/under, slow him down a little bit. There's that takedown Ogunsanya's good at. Singleton squares up with him, 15 seconds.
Everybody on their feet.
He's got to stay in. He can't give up a stall call. If you're Ogunsanya, you got to push the action. There he's in on a shot. Short time. He looks for Cradle. He's got to get him to his hit for the takedown. Nothing. No time. No takedown. Matty Singleton. Big win.
The officials coming together as you saw Ogasanya lock that cradle up. And the call stands. It happened too late. A huge win for Matty Singleton and the team implications for North Carolina State.
Huge win for Matty Singleton. Now watch this. So Ogunsanya's in on this deep double. This is where Singleton's defense is really strong. He gets that underhook out. He gets out of the position. Really solid shutdown defense by Singleton. And even here late, you notice here, you may say, well, Ogunsanya's got a cradle. Well, even if he has the cradle, he has to get Singleton to a hip. He doesn't get him to the hip, and by this time goes out. No takedown. Singleton moves to the finals as the 4 seed. NC State fans love it.
Matty Singleton has certainly earned his ticket to the finals, knocking off Wallach and now the top seed, Ogasanya. As we turn to 184, Reese Heller of Pitt. He is healthy after some late season injuries. Heller 18-3 this year, the top seed. And the defending champ is the 4 seed from Virginia Tech in TJ Stewart. Take a look at the bracket at 184. Dylan Fishback, the 2 seed, North Carolina State. He will take on the veteran Gavin Kane. Fishback and Kane, Heller and Stewart, the semifinals at 184. They just wrapped up in the other semifinal at 174, and Luca Augustine of Pitt. I believe that wins sudden victory, didn't it?
Yeah, sudden victory. Augustine got a takedown in overtime over Lorenzo Norman.
TJ Stewart coming off that incredible championship run that he enjoyed last year. Hasn't been all roses, though, during the course of the regular season for Stewart. That 500 record. ACC champ and freshman of the year, ready to go toe-to-toe with the top seed, Reese Heller.
You mentioned it. Don't be fooled by the 10-10 record. TJ Stewart's one of the best wrestlers in the country. He proved that last year, being an All-American at 184. And when he's in his slot, he's really hard to score on. He's got great wrestling IQ. He can control the mat position really well. He can scramble really well, and he's one of the most explosive wrestlers in the country. He's got an unbelievable lat drop that we've seen a couple of times this year, and you see this power here from his underhook stepping in. There's a little bit of clash of style here with Heller, really good at scrambling and using his hips.
Yeah, Heller has body parts bend certain ways that most humans cannot have. He is just a master at the scramble, and he showcases it right there.
Well, you saw TJ Stewart's in a great position to finish, and Heller uses his hips to bump back and creates a scramble. Unconventional wrestling, but you're seeing it become really common. His brother Holden and him are really good at this, and it paid off for him, getting an opportunity to get to the leg, using his other leg to trip to finish.
3-0 lead for Reese Heller, who had a special moment earlier this year, returning to the Midwest. He is an Illinois native, grew up in Riverwoods, Illinois, and he went back and he felt right at home winning the Midlands Championship. It was the second Midlands title of his career. Stewart taking a little extra time getting back into the center, maybe cramping issue, you hope?
Yeah, I saw, he looked like he was trying to stretch out a little bit. I didn't see anything on the takedown. Kind of see how it impacts him. It looks like he'll be all right. And these guys are so tough, man. They're going to wrestle through anything, you know. And when you're out there, you sometimes don't even feel how much pain you're in until after the match. You're like, wow, how did I wrestle through that?
It's that next day, right? The next day, always a killer.
Yeah, that next Monday when you're sitting in class, you're like, man, I don't even remember what happened to my knee.
As long as you remember what the professor told you in class, right? That's the important part there. 3-1, Heller on top of TJ Stewart. Great action in the semifinal round. Hope you're enjoying it here on the ACC Network Extra. This place still buzzing from the show that Ogasanya and Singleton put on a few moments ago.
Yeah, crowd atmosphere really good here at Cameron Indoor. You got a lot of UNC fans pummeling in. Obviously with NC State, they travel well, and that was just a big matchup. Watch out for this lateral drop here by Stewart, baby. He doesn't have the underhook in. If I'm Stewart, I'm trying to get back to those underhooks. He got his solid underhook on his left side and got to an attack pretty easily. I want to see him force that position maybe a little bit, use his strength and his size to get into some leg attacks.
We talked about Luca Augustine winning for Pitt a few moments ago, and you start to get to these upper weights, and this is where Pitt is really good. I mean, this is where they have made a lot of noise throughout the course of the year. Max Stout, who I quite frankly think doesn't get enough attention for the year that he has had. We're going to see him a little bit later on at 97, and then the big question, can Pitzer rediscover his form? But here's the part of the lineup where Pitt is going to try to make up some ground to get back up among the top teams.
Yeah, this is really where they make a lot of their money, and Heller's been a big part of that, really inserting himself in the lineup and in the country at 184. I mean, he's someone that is not fun to wrestle, put it that way. I wrestled him twice when I was in college at 184. It's not a fun experience because you're constantly, fatigued by the thought of him, rolling or getting a scramble. It's like you have to be very disciplined. And when he gets out to elite, it makes it even harder because now you have to start pursuing even more.
So how do you prepare for the funk that he throws at you?
Well, I think you have to stay basic. And for me, I like to get to underhook because I felt like I could, minimize that risk as much as I could. If I could use my underhook like Stewart did in the first period, I could get to the body a little bit easier without getting to a single, with allowing him to kind of put his joints in positions that I couldn't wrestle in. So I think staying in your wheelhouse, but also staying basic and being really disciplined, especially when you're on top. His ability to create scrambles from bottom is really hard to deal with. If you're trying to chop and trying to tilt, he'll roll every time. So really trying to stay basic on top and neutral, it's a hard thing to do for 7 minutes.
Heller with a 3-point lead, two-time NCAA qualifier, back-to-back years. Started his career at Hofstra, spent 3 years with the Pride before arriving at Pitt. Amazing part about it was his growth and improvement. He didn't compete a lot in his early years, both 21 and 22, saw limited action in the COVID season, then he redshirted in 22. A man that started wrestling at the age of 8, stall call on Heller. Stewart trying to come in with a shot of his own. Both wrestlers on their knees. And out of bounds they go. 27 seconds remaining in this second period.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line in this match. You look at this weight, you see 4 really, really good guys, and there's only 3 allocated spots. So to put yourself in the finals and to auto-qualify that spot is a big deal at this weight. Stewart being the one on that side that didn't allocate a spot, so maybe even bigger moment for him, to punch yourself into the finals and not have to worry about winning 3rd place. It's just with the allocated spots and the qualifications, it starts to become, the stakes get a little bit higher.
Second period winds down, comes to a close. Not much of a change. Heller still leading by 3. Stewart to start underneath. We move into the 3rd period. The ACC champ, returning All-American, down 3 for the final 2 minutes.
Heller's also really good on top, and he's got 30 seconds of riding time now. If he can find a way to get an extra 30, he does have a stall call, though, which makes it hard to drop down, as Stewart did a good job getting to his feet and sealing off. And there's different paths to victory here for Stewart. He can get a takedown, or if he can get 2 stall calls as he's in on the leg. Great shot. You see some in this funk ability. Those knees, he's able to limp knee out really well. There's a nice slide by. He's in on an ankle. Stewart kicks out. Great action by both wrestlers. Right now, you got Heller, who's trying to put this match away, maybe on a Stewart shot. Stewart really trying to bring yourself back into this push the action. There's that underhook I'm talking about. If he can throw that by, there's a shot. Heller doing a good job getting off the edge. See that missed slide by, just misses that ankle. You know, we're talking about wrestling being a game of inches. It sometimes is that close where you're so close to grabbing the ankle.
Forehead to forehead, the two wrestlers in the center as we hit 60 seconds to go in this third period.
Anything here, if you're Heller, you want to try to stay in the center a little bit or try to pepper off some short shots to make the ref know that you're still engaged. Don't just back up. There's a little bit of a shot, get some action. That's better for him. Stewart in on that underhook. That's what I'm talking about.
The balance and the poise under duress from Maurice Heller.
Now, if you're Heller, stay back in the center. Make Stewart come to you at 30 seconds here. You're in territory where you can take 2 stall calls and still win.
This is a position that will eat some of the clock if you're Reese Heller. Stewart gets that head out of there. Heller recircles back into the center. 18 seconds, long range shot by the ACC champ Stewart. Now Heller comes in with a shot of his own.
Good shot to keep the ref off him. He can stay here. You just got to be ready for Stewart to go lat drop. He's good upper body. He's going to try something. Heller gets off of it.
Keep an eye on Pitt. Keith Gavin and the Panthers. They get a win from Augustine, and now the top seed, Reese Heller, takes down the ACC champ from a year ago and TJ Stewart. Heller, a 4-2 win for Pitt, and he is into the finals later tonight. When we come back, 197 in heavyweight. It's a semifinal round from Durham here at the 2025 ACC Championships. Good look inside Cameron Indoor Stadium as we continue on the ACC Wrestling Championship. We bump up to 197. The top seed is maxed out, enjoying his best regular season. The redshirt sophomore has been phenomenal this year, leading the Panthers all season long. Cade Lout, his opponent from North Carolina, Lout the 4 seed, 13-10 this year. He was able to win his match over Christian Knopp of North Carolina State earlier in the first round. As with the other top seeds, our first look of the day at maxed out. Trent, what has impressed you about Stout, a weight that you know so well at 197?
I think, you know, you look at Stout's season, I think when you watch his wrestling, there's a clear level and step up of composure and maturity, and I think that comes from having a full season. He redshirted his first year, got thrown in the lineup, competing against some of the best guys in the country, and now he has that sense of, it's my time to dominate, it's my time to take over this conference, and that's exactly what he's done. He's quietly put together one of the best seasons in the conference across all weights, and now as he gets into the ACC, it's just a matter of taking care of business. His offense has looked great, his defense has been really good. Loud a tough matchup because he is so strong, but we'll see how Stout kind of deals with that strength and opens up his offense.
Look at who he has in the room to train with each and every day as well. Pitzer at heavyweight, you can slide down with who we just saw at 84 in Heller, and let's not forget Nino Bonacorsi, the national champ, still around that Pitt wrestling room.
Yeah, you can't forget Nino, one of the toughest guys that I've ever wrestled against. I grew up with Nino all since we were little kids, and he beat me more times than I'd like to admit growing up, and we got to wrestle in college, but just a great competitor and a great person to have in the room, and I think you're seeing that's the benefit of Stout, having a guy like that, being able to compete in day out. You see, he's getting to shots, he's taking down, he's much more composed this year. He feels confident. You're seeing that in his wrestling.
3-1 maxed out. Midlands champion this year. He scored 72 points in those 5 bouts at the Midlands. That was a cue, a sign, an early sign that, hey, watch out for this guy. He has it all clicking.
I think another thing that he's doing a good job of this year is controlling his energy. A lot of times when you're young and you're coming up in that weight class, you're taking a lot of shots. It's so easy to get yourself fatigued. He's really efficient with his energy. You're seeing it right now as he gets into legs. He's understanding when to switch off and when to stay in on legs, and it's helping him as he gets deeper into matches. He still feels fresh.
Loud squeezing that whizzer real tightly, trying to pinch this attack off from Stout.
This is a position that I love to be in. What you want to see Stout do, and he just did it a little bit, is free your arm up. I always like going to the shoulder blade and pressuring down, and then I can come back to the body or just continue to circle back. He kind of went shoulder lever a little bit, I guess you can call it, locked his hands, put pressure on Loud's shoulder and opened it up so that he can look to finish. It's really close to his finish. He's got to secure the ankle, and he does.
Second takedown for Stout in a 6-1 lead.
You see that first takedown, just really locking out Loud's leg and doubling off. Great takedown, great technique.
A lot of wrestling in the Stout family growing up. His father Brian ran the club for a few years, wrestled at Clarion. His older brother Kellen, who's 7 years older, he was instrumental in developing the passion and the love of the sport for Mac. He got to watch him a lot. Really, his path, he did not narrow it down to wrestling until his middle school years. Stout family hoping they get to watch not just Mac, but also Luke compete this year at the NCAAs.
It would really be something if they had to wrestle each other. That would be really hard.
That would be tough on Ma and Pa.
Yeah. Yeah, forget the brothers itself. It's harder on the family.
It is. That way you and Hayden took completely opposite paths as far as weight goes.
Well, I'll tell you what, we actually wrestled a lot more than we probably even should have growing up. Anytime we would do tournaments, we would always double bracket, so I would always go up to the older division, and we would wrestle all the time. Of course, I would, get beat up really bad as young, and then we definitely wrestled a lot. I'd probably say we wrestled close to 10 times in our life. I only beat him once.
Is that right?
And it was a couple years ago. We did like a charity event for our high school. We call it Wrangle in the Wild, kind of just an amateur event where we bring people in to wrestle, and we were the headliner, and I sneaked one out against him. I had like 20 pounds on him, so that one felt good.
But you're admitting a 1-9 record against Brother Hayden.
Well, I'll tell you what, against a guy like that, it's never easy to get any wins. So if I can get one, then I'll feel confident with it.
You had the last laugh.
Yeah. One thing you see Stout doing a really good job of on top here is getting a lot of weight on Loud's hands. He's going quad pod, but the reason that Loud's not able to step up is because Stout's putting a lot of forward pressure onto his hands, and he's using his knees to pinch Loud's legs and Loud ended up getting the escape, but he's been doing it for a while. It starts to take a lot of energy out of Loud in your arms and your core by staying up like that.
Loud trying to get to some offense now, trailing 6-2 in this second period. Semi-final round of the ACC championship. 38 automatic allocations coming from today's festivities. That is one less than the previous all-time high of 39, which was set back in 2022. This conference as a whole, when you start to think about a little bit of the history, 23 individual national championships have been won by wrestlers from the ACC. And just to give you a pulse of how strong it has been of late, 8 of those 23 coming since 2014. Henson, of course, last year, and then the 2 ACC winners the year prior in 23 with O'Connor and Bonacorsi.
Awesome attack by Stout. He's got to get that foot up. He's only got 15 seconds, so he's going to want to finish quick. Get that foot up, drive it over, collect the ankle. Big takedown at the end of the second period. He's just doing all the little things right. He's controlling center. He's finishing at the end of periods. He's riding hard. All these little things make a huge impact as you get ready for postseason wrestling.
Commanding lead late in the second period, and go back to this last 3 for Stout.
Yeah, just a good job of hunting down that ankle and keeping your feet dragged in to ensure that you get the takedown.
Blood timeout. Max Stout and Pitt. Will this be another year they crown another national champion? You take a look at the allocations, the Big Ten with 87, the Big 12, they'll be on ESPN a little bit later on tonight with their finals, 61 automatic spots. The ACC sitting third, and then we talked about the respect given to the Ivy this year. Pac-12 was the first conference championship, their one-day tournament on Thursday. We're at 197. A.J. Ferrari coming off a Pac-12 title.
Ferrari looked really good in that match, and someone that's just really hard to score on. He does all the things right on top, being able to get riding time and take it out of guys, and wrestling IQ is really high for Ferrari.
It was a real fun match to watch with Stephen Little of Little Rock, a program that just continues to get more and more momentum, even though they are still very young.
Yeah, Little Rock's been awesome. Just the Pac-12 as a whole, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on with conference realignment, but to have Little Rock in there really creates a cool spark, and Neil Arisman's done a phenomenal job there building up the program.
Stout, speaking of phenomenal, 3 more.
Yeah, timing has just been awesome. He's setting up his shots with his movement. It may not be, you know, the most flashy thing with hard snaps and get to an attack, but his timing is so well because he's flowing well on his feet. He's timing Stout's step, and he's getting right into his single legs.
Keith Gavin, the head coach for Pitt, year 8 for Gavin, who won a national championship for the Panthers. Gavin won his title at 174 back in 2008. Came back to coach his alma mater. The 2017 season, and he has put his touches on this lineup, especially in the upper weights, as we talked about. What a shot here by Stout on Lout.
Be ready here. Lout's good upper body. He may have the opportunity to try something here. He's down by 10. I'd like to see him go for it.
I thought he was going to have that over under, that body lock position where we have seen him throw some opponents the last couple of years. Just couldn't quite get the right grip on that one to pull the trigger.
Yeah, there you just see a little bit of desperation by Lout, knowing that you're down. I have no problem seeing that. I'd much rather see somebody go for something big late when they're down than just to ride out the match.
16-4.
He's looking for a tech fall.
He really is. Stout just continuing to plug away at Cade Loud here. He has riding time as well. And the Panthers are going to win their 3rd straight weight in this semifinal round. 74-84, now 97 for the Panthers, and Max Stout, winner by major decision, 17-3. So it will be Stout and Stimmett for the ACC title. Both wrestlers putting up double-digit points in their semifinal win.
Yeah, Stout just really reinforced what we've been talking about from his season this year. He just looked solid the entire match. Attacks were great, did the right things on top. Just looked really good in the semifinal match. It's going to be an exciting match in the finals with him and Stimmett. Both guys have had great end of the seasons.
Heavyweight. The top seed is Isaac Trumbull. The 2 seed Jimmy Mullen of Virginia Tech. Trumbull beat Mullen in the final Friday night duel. So here he is, the Wolfpack wrestler, seeded 1, taking on Dayton Pitzer, the 4 seed for the Panthers. Trumbull, the redshirt junior, Springfield, Nebraska. Pitzer, a redshirt sophomore out of Mount Pleasant, Pennsylvania.
Interesting match. Both of these guys probably not full-size heavyweights, so both of them are agile. Trumbull, coming up from 197 in the past, has wrestled 97 kilos freestyle-wise and has done really well. Decided to make the move up this year, and I think it's been a great move just for the health of his body, but his wrestling as well.
What's the conversation like for Isaac Trumbull making that decision?
Well, I think it's going all in on yourself, right? He was a big 197 pounder, had to cut a lot of weight for it. Decided at the end of the day that, you know, maybe doing this is taken away from my wrestling potential. If I can get as big as I can and feel as good as I can, what does my wrestling look like? And I think you're seeing his best wrestling this season because he's feeling his best and he's healthy at the weight.
He reached the ACC finals twice. At 197 pounds. Talked about the red shirt he utilized last year. Lots of international success along the way. The 2023 U23 97 kilo world champion. That gold medal performance for NC State was their first in any age division. His performance over in Albania. Two-time NCAA qualifier back in 22 and 23. It's funny, you look at Trumbull, the two ACC runner-up showings, both years it was losing to Nino Bonacorsi in the finals.
Yeah, those guys had some great battles. Trumbull had beaten him a few times. Bonacorsi got in the ACC finals. And that's the strength of the conference, right? To have guys like that competing, and it only elevates both of them. And I think Trumbull took a lot away from those matches, and it's helped him. You see a guy come up from 197 to heavyweight, maybe a little bit more agile, can move in different ways, and can score. And that's what you're seeing with guys like Trumbull and Pitzer, who have kind of followed this heavyweight blueprint where you don't have to weigh 285 to be successful at heavyweight. You can be a little bit smaller. Sure, it's a little bit harder because guys are really big and strong, but you can also, you know, wrestle like this and get in scrambles that a lot of times you aren't used to being able to do.
Take a look at these two athletes. You think it was a 125-pound scramble with their athleticism back and forth. First Trumbull, then Pitzer. Now Trumbull back in a position maybe to get the three.
We saw Trumbull get on the legs, Pitzer past the ankle, and Trumbull not giving up on it. Now he's back into position. You see that knee brace on Trumbull, so he's going to want to avoid trying to scramble as much as he can and try to get a finish here, but Pitzer's really lanky and he's really comfortable here. Right now Trumbull's trying to see if he can stack him up, maybe get a danger count, which he's starting to maybe count for. Pitzer's doing a good job of staying off his back, and time runs out. Good defense, being stingy late by Pitzer.
Trumbull's choice, he defers. Pitzer will go down underneath. Dayton Pitzer won 3 Pennsylvania state championships. He was a prize recruit, with prize in all caps, for Coach Gavin and company. 130 wins in his high school career, 100 of those by way of the fall. As Brent talked about, a little undersized when he first arrived at Pitt to be that everyday reliable heavyweight, but he has spent a ton of time gaining weight, building his strength, really utilized his red shirt well. He's had a few bumps along the way this season. One of those wrestlers that when he is clicking, he is certainly a threat to be a podium performer come nationals.
Well, Pitzer's one of his best positions is on top. He's really good at riding. He can get both legs in. And already different in this dual, from the dual meet, Pitzer had a hard time getting out from Trumbull, and Trumbull got a lot of riding time and even got some back points. Pitzer escaped relatively quickly here in 13 seconds. That gives him another opportunity, another path to victory. If he takes this into the third period down 1-0, if he can commit to that ride, it starts to, starts to get interesting there with the in terms of riding time and only being up 1-0 going into the third.
Inside a minute to go in this second period. It's interesting, Pitzer was the highest ranked Panther entering the season. He was the preseason number 12. There's two big athletic bodies right now, front and center. Pitt trying to close out what has been a strong run late in the semifinal round. NC State trying to keep their grip atop.
Another attack by Trumbull, but this is where Pitzer's good at being able to scramble for a heavyweight. So he hops over the top, passes that ankle. Both guys trying to funk. 15 seconds left. And Pitzer comes out on top with nothing yet. Nothing yet. Trumbull has a hold of that leg. It's really close. Pitzer's trying to put Trumbull in danger to his back. Challenge brick comes out. They award the 3 with 2 seconds left.
Gavin threw that brick in, but I think they're going to take that brick right back. He wanted to make sure that Pitzer got the 3, and when he threw that brick, he hadn't been awarded the 3 yet, but Pitzer stayed with it.
One thing I think you're seeing refs do a little bit more now is letting the position play out. Instead of calling 3 prematurely, knowing that it's towards the end of period, let it play out a little bit so that if it does develop into a clear 3, they can make the right decision, because they can always take it upon themselves to go review.
So if you're Pitzer, you could not have scripted a better first couple of periods. You're up 4, you're in your position, that top position. However, to Trumbull's credit, he gets away.
Well, now you said it's a great way for Pitzer to wrestle that match, and getting a takedown at the end of the period, not allowing Trumbull to get an escape at the end of the second, really opens it up where Trumbull's got to come to him now and get a takedown. And if he does, he has the opportunity to get an escape to win the match 5-4. So if you're Pitzer, stay in the center. Your scramblings work for you. Don't let Trumbull get to a leg and double off. If you're Trumbull, get back to those shots and finish before Pitzer's able to pass ankles.
Approaching a minute to go here in this 3rd and final period, the final match of this semifinal round. Straight on shot there by Trumbull. Pitzer was waiting. Now Pitzer trying to reach back for that far ankle. Trumbull keeps coming in on him, and here we go again. Another scramble as we cross inside a minute.
Yeah, Trumbull's trying to get his head up and pass it through. Pitzer's scrambling. He's got a crotch lock here. He's going to look to try to get that ankle if he can. Trumbull can't let him pass the ankle. There he goes. He gets it. Now he's in neutral danger. Ref's counting it. He gets out of it.
Just
no
2
danger
swipes.
call. Just 2 swipes.
Only 2 swipes with the neutral danger. Pitzer hanging on for dear life right now. 4-1 Pitt. Wow, we've had a couple of terrific scrambles from these nimble heavyweights.
Just when you think they have him dead to right, they're able to get their use their hips and roll the guy through. It's really impressive. Trumbull's got 24 seconds to get a takedown. He's proven that he can get to the leg, but Pitzer's been evasive with the takedowns. He's got to try to get his hands to a leg. He's got to start now. 15 seconds left.
Is this going to be the moment that Pitt fans have been waiting for from Dayton Pitzer?
This is a huge moment for Pitzer. He's had a rough year. He's going to take this match and put himself in the ACC Finals. What a big win for Dayton Pitzer. Lost to Trumbull early in the year. Huge momentum for Dayton Pitzer and the Pitt Panthers.
The Steel City being heard loud and clear down here in Durham. Man, what a finish to this round for the Panthers as they go 4 for 4, starting with Augustine at 74.
But you talked about Pitt being really strong upper body weight. They won Augustine, big match at 74. Reese Heller taking out All-American TJ Stewart, maxed out, being as good as he ever has this season, winning, and Dayton Pitzer with probably the upset of the tournament over Trumbull in the semis.
Defining moment for Dayton Pitzer and Pitt. Great action here from Durham. The semifinals living up to all the hype. Hippolito with his offense. Another hard-fought win for Stanford's Hunter Garvin. Our finals tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. The drama unfolds, the final chapter of the ACCs.
Welcome back to our Mat 2 coverage of the ACC Wrestling Championship semifinals, where you win and you're in tonight's 8 p.m. linear coverage on the ACC network. We're Mat 2, where we've got the 2-seed Nick Hamilton for Virginia taking on Derek Fields, the 3-seed out of NC State. Fields knocked off Aiden Wallace of Duke by a score of 7-1. Hamilton knocked off Charlie Derricott in a match that we called here, Rhino, 5-1.
Hamilton, the returning ACC champ, it was a surprise last year. He's not surprising anybody now. Fields is a guy who's had an up and down year. He was ranked as high as 12th in the country last year. Kind of went on a surprise run for NC State. They're seeing if they can get him back to form here in the semifinal.
Fields did qualify last year for the NCAA tournament. His older brother Matt was on the team. Redshirt junior out of Brunswick, Ohio, Brunswick High School.
These two wrestled last year at the ACCs, and it went down to the tiebreakers, where Hamilton was able to win 2-1.
Yeah, I'm trying to be unbiased here, but you know, Fields is an Ohio guy. I did coach his brother quite a bit on Team Ohio, and I love to see that. But talk about Nick Hamilton a little bit, Rhino. So he bounced around a little bit. He was where at? In Nebraska and Iowa, correct?
Mainly in Nebraska, yeah. Ended up winning 2 Nebraska state titles, 1 in Iowa on his way to Virginia. He's a guy who's very stocky, kind of maintains good position, stalks forward in more of a square stance, and he'll look to attack mainly Fields' right leg, likes to attack with the high crotch.
And he was a national champion in Greco, so you know he can hold position and hold those control ties extremely well.
And that's really what won him the ACC tournament last year, just good position. Again, as you said, good edge wrestling, good situational wrestling.
In the regular season, Fields faced Mason Stefanelli of Virginia and won that 4-2. Did not face Nick Hamilton. As you said, Nick Hamilton, the junior, returning ACC champion, went 4-1 in the ACC with 3 ranked wins on the return to the lineup after missing 7 weeks of action.
And I think, you know, come March, Dean, it's really important to read body language. And what you see with these guys, both of these guys right now, they're in quite a bit of a square L-shaped stance. It's going to be difficult to rip off a leg attack from that for either of these guys. It's going to be a lot of hanging heavy, a lot of control ties, and then you're going to see an elbow pass or something like that in order to level change, as we just saw Hamilton attempt there. But you should be reading that while you're out on the mat there. There, Fields went to a little bit more of a stagger stance. That's where he's going to look to rip these attacks off. When you're out there and you're Fields or Hamilton right now, those are all things you're calculating.
Absolutely, I think that's a great point, talking about the footwork needed. You're going to see these guys switch their feet, switch the angle of their hips as they move to attack. And as we said, it's a chess match out there. It's tactical. You're thinking, and your body is reading that position as well as you figure out, okay, what's he biting on this fake? How's he reacting to this tie as I try to work my offense?
Final seconds counting down here. No score in the first. The ACC will send 5, that's right, 5 wrestlers AQ'd at 165.
Yeah, this is one of the most competitive weight classes in the ACC. With those 5 allocations, we already saw Aiden Wallace of Duke go out. He's going to need an at-large bid as the rest of these guys kind of compete for those final 5 slots.
And now, did Wallace get one of those bids for the weight?
He did earn the allocation. Yep.
And that, it just, again, speaks to the depth of the conference. And what you're seeing here, where these guys are kind of getting tangled up and there's not a ton of points coming out on the board, that's also because of familiarity with, I just butchered that word too, with each other. Because it is a small conference, you see everybody and you're able to make adjustments. And, you know, the level of competition is very, very high. But like I said, the level of familiarity is also very, very high.
So you see Hamilton finally get on that right leg.
Horse.
Builds all the way up from his belly to a lift, and he scores his takedown.
Right in front of us. Tremendous lift right there coming from Nick Hamilton.
And the eye test doesn't always work, but with Nick Hamilton, you look at this kid, you see his hamstring right here. You see him build into it with the strength, and that's the point I was just going to get to. He is ox strong, man. Like, you see the quad development, you see the hamstring development, you see his delts popping. Like, he passes the eye test of being strong, and that's exactly what you saw there.
Yeah, he's done a front squat a time or two, I think.
Dean, I heard that this is similar to what your build was.
I was once ox strong.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think you still got it, Dean. I think you still got it.
Well, you're wrong.
That's where your strength coach becomes important in building your program to get you strong in the positions that you need to be strong in. wrestling, we get into positions at different angles that aren't perfect, and you kind of got to pressure through them and find your way to get into those typical lifting positions to be able to finish.
3-2.
And what you're going to see late from Fields is going to be the typical, maybe stall call come into effect here. And that's why I'd like to see him start the sprint earlier in the second. And maybe you get one out of the way there so that you're not trying to get 2 calls in the third or whatever it may end up being here.
Yeah, you want to get on the official's mind to show them something. Fields likes to attack from a knee pull. Hamilton's done a good job dictating the space of this match and where the hand fight has started. Fields really hasn't been able to get his feet going.
Short time here.
I can tell you on mat 1, the #1 seed Hunter Garvin leading over Mac Church.
He's got another takedown over there. He's up 6-1.
I mentioned Garvin because Hamilton, it was only 4-1, but it was closer than that when Hamilton took on Garvin. This was after he missed 2 months of action and then got thrown back in there against Hunter Garvin and wrestled him tough.
Yeah, Hamilton, as we talked about, his positioning is really sound. A guy like Garvin puts out a lot of attacks, opens himself up a bit, and that's where if we're thinking about that as a potential final, that's where Hamilton's gonna have to figure stuff out. Garvin even needed a late takedown with about 30 seconds left to beat Derek Fields, so we're in for a good match, whoever it is this evening.
Yeah, and styles make matchups. You know, that was something I was talking to Lucas Bird about. He's in the Big Ten Finals today, actually. And, you know, there's 2 types of styles. You have a style like Hamilton who really limits the exchanges. He's strong, holds amazing position. And then you have a guy like a Lucas Bird, like Fields in a certain type of way, definitely like Garvin, where they're going to try to create a lot of situations, create a lot of wrestling, and believe, hey, if there's 10 situational, wrestling positions that happen, I'm winning 9 of those, and that's going to put points on the board, and I'm going to come out on the favorable side there.
Yep, playing probability.
What a bonus to have Jacob Casper join us here. Mat side, mat 2 coverage, semifinal action alongside the Rhino, Dylan Ryan, D. Linky with you here. We got a tight one at 165 where, again, 5 ACC wrestlers will head to Philadelphia.
You know, one thing I love about ACC tournament and wrestling is it's always held at a big venue. We're at Cameron Indoor here, a historic arena where a lot of, crazy things have happened, and hopefully for these guys, someone's going to get to make the memory. You'll have 10 of them tonight. 10 guys are going to get to make the memory of being an ACC individual champion at the end of the night.
There's a good re-attack by Fields off the underhook. He's got to go. 30 seconds left. This is where you got to find what's my go-to. Where can I get to create a position that I can try and win?
You saw Ed Scott do a great job of clearing the tie to his attack in the last match, and Fields might have to do the same thing with the way Hamilton's digging for that inside control tie.
Hamilton, though, straight D.
You said Fields didn't start that sprint as early. Stalling not a factor here. It looks like Hamilton's gonna escape here with the win.
So Nick Hamilton, look at that, fair play. That was a great matchup as Hamilton takes down Fields, and Hamilton will be in the semifinals tonight. It'll start at 8 o'clock on ACC Network. Now we move to 174, where it's been all chalk. 1 and 4 over on mat 1. Here on mat 2, it'll be the 3 seed from Pitt, Luca Augustine, taking on the number 2 seed from Stanford and Mr. Norman. Who you like in this one, Rhino?
Lorenzo Norman's just coming back from injury. He's a guy who had a real breakout at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas event, losing to Dean Hamady in the finals, giving him a good match. If he's healthy and ready to go, I think that's a lot of people's pick to win this tournament. Augustine is a guy who just maintains excellent position, stalks forward, has had success in freestyle. I think the favorite here is Lorenzo Norman. Augustine is capable of tightening this match and trying to drag him into deep waters to see if he can steal it.
Yeah, and you know the eye test we were kind of talking about earlier as Norman steps out on the mat. Like, look at his build. He's got long arms. You know, his torso's relatively short. You know, in certain types of ways, it looks like a longer version of Jordan Burroughs, and I think you're going to see a lot of attacks, a high rate of output here, and it's going to become a question of can Augustine limit those exchanges, as we were saying before. Styles make matchups.
See Norman, who missed a lot of time this year. He's out there with that Jaylen Brown mask that he's got on here to protect his face and his nose. Augustine's really going to have to close the distance here and get in tight.
Norman took care of Consoli of Duke 12-1 in a major. Augustine with a tight one, beating Contino 5-4.
Augustine just grabbed his knee and winced at his corner after that first shot. So it's something to keep your eye on.
Like you said, Augustine's grimacing a little bit in this match, and Norman's been out again. Nobody's 100% at the end of the year, and you know, sometimes it's the guy that's able to put those things aside. Or, you know, on the way in, I was speaking to Devin Carter's adoptive dad, as he called himself, and you know, he talked about how Devin Carter having that torn hamstring back in, what was that, 15, Rhino? Actually, he limited the interactions in the positions he got into, and he wrestled better because of that. So sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise.
And it's a real credit to the staffs on each team, the medical staffs, the athletic training staff that gets these guys ready to go.
I like what you did there, Rhino. Yeah. Being in the medical field yourself, a little plug to the medical team. I like it, I like it.
Yeah, I feel bad, Jacob. We should be calling him Doctor.
Oh,
you know that, right?
Call me doctor.
Oh, he makes me. When I text him, I have to refer to him as Doctor every single time I won't respond.
Yeah. Good shot by Augustine.
Nice.
Norman pulls him up. Well, if you like what you hear from Mr. Casper over here, hopefully give him a microphone, but you can watch him every week on Monday nights. There's Julius Creed.
We are in Madison Square Garden and also found on Netflix this upcoming Monday.
Oh, that is awesome.
It'll be a fun one. As Norman looks to score here and convert this into points, I'd like to see him headhunt here and try to really put it away with a big point total here. You know, this danger call, you know, neutral control has really changed college wrestling in a lot of ways, and I think it's, you know, it's a way that he could blow this match open here as Augustine starts to sit the corner with a crotch lift.
Good work by Augustine to get his hips back up. Norman's trying to use his length to catch his other foot.
On January 10th, Augustine was the 18 seed, but Lorenzo Norman with a tight win, 8-6.
As we saw Augustine walk back to the middle, a little bit of a noticeable limp, and then Norman keeps messing with that mask. Not used to really wearing that. Stall warning on Augustine.
That might be why you see him not hitting his knee and taking penetration attacks here too. It might be limited a little bit because whatever's going on with that knee, it might be difficult to, you know, be weight bearing or whatever.
Jacob and Rhino, Augustine almost through the shoulders of Norman right there in the final seconds.
Yeah, look for that cross knee pick. Nice idea there.
I think you might see this match start to get opened up a little bit more on the mat. And then, you know, when those first points go on the board, people are a little less afraid to let it fly. Also, I think you said, Dean, this match was 8-6 earlier in the season.
8-6.
We might see some points get flying up on the board here in a second.
Head to the second, still at zeros. Semifinals at 174. Reminding you again that there's 4 NCAA qualifiers for the ACC at 174.
And I love to see that claw ride from Norman. That's a ride that I usually really implemented when I was wrestling. He unfortunately, you know, let Augustine come up off of it, but I think that's a great ride, especially for a longer guy like Norman.
Norman's picking up his tempo here.
I was just going to say, you see the points starting to fly around, or the attempts start to fly around, and I think the points are sure to follow.
Norman came in with an 18-2 overall record this year and a 27-7 career record for the redshirt freshman.
Got upset by Ogunsanya in the last duel of the year for Stanford against North Carolina.
I remember that match. Do you know what his other loss was this year, Rhino?
Dean Hamady.
Dean Hamady, Oklahoma State.
Well, that's not a terrible guy to lose to. He's
No.
pretty darn good. You never want to lose, but if you do lose, you want it to be to the good guys.
And Norman spent much of this year ranked 4th in the country.
A former ACC coach and Kerry McCoy, an Olympian, once told me, if you just beat everyone you're supposed to beat, you'll beat 70% of people then and you'll make the tournament. Some good re-attacks flying off here. And I don't think they're wrestling tighter than they probably did in season. However, I think they're wrestling more disciplined and holding better position, and that's why the scoreboard doesn't quite reflect the same way it did in season.
Yeah, you think about some of that mentality, you know, when Claire Anderson was here, something he used to talk about was, you know, saying he was too dumb to realize he could lose, so he might as well just win. And thinking about that way and building up your confidence to put out attacks, and it's just like, I'm going to find a way to win this position and win this match. And you see a lot of the best guys in the country start to think in that way, that if we start really wrestling, I'm going to come out on top and I'm going to win.
They were still locked up through 2 periods.
You know what I like to see there, though, Dean? Time had expired, but they were still wrestling. The refs literally had to stop them.
They did.
That is what it should be when it comes to March. Nothing is easy, as we see Augustine try to ride tough here to Norman. And, yeah, you've got to earn every single point, every single inch. Singlet was involved there. Wow, kind of a strange time to stop, though. I understand wrestler safety.
I don't like stopping it there because Norman was imminently out. It looked like their hands got caught in Norman's singlet.
I understand wrestling the priority is wrestler safety. However, I do agree with you. I think Norman was, 90% out or better there.
There's been a few calls that Coach Ayers has not been thrilled about in that corner, and that's another one.
Which, I'll push back a little bit out on that, Rhino. When have you ever seen coaches in general be happy with all the calls? These refs do a pretty thankless job out here,
That's absolutely
they're
true.
trying their best.
Absolutely true. We've got a very experienced crew here. And we've got a barn burner over there on mat 1, which has led to a lot of the energy in this building. We got a barn burner here on mat 2 as well.
So I was going to say, sometimes the scoreboard doesn't reflect it, but it's all close wrestling in March. It's ACC wrestling, baby.
With a shot at being in tonight's championship matchups and also clinching a spot to Philadelphia. Oh, you think about the incredible wrestling in Pennsylvania for the NCAAs to be in Philadelphia, Jacob. It's going to be rocking.
Oh, man. You're talking wrestling country. You're talking that New Jersey, Philadelphia, Ohio, even Indiana, Iowa. California's on the West Coast, but they'll send some guys. But when you're in the heart of the Midwest like that, they show up and they show out.
Wow, 174.
Loud here for 74 as Norman takes a shot.
And you know what's beautiful about wrestling is we're a little bit distracted by all that noise and the craziness that's going out there. But if Augustine and Norman are locked in and they're in that flow state, they literally will hear nothing out there. You're just so set and zoned in, sometimes you hear nothing while you're out there.
Absolutely, there's specific voices that you pick up. Looks like Maddie Singleton is going to steal that one at 74.
That's your 4 seed.
That is huge for the team race for NC State. Augustine's in on a shot late.
Wrestled through all of the
late.
time. Wrestled through all of the time. Something the late, great Greg Dale told me as a sports psychologist here at Duke, he had me write out when I performed best. And one of those things was that I could only hear the voice of Coach Lanham and Coach Whistle in the corner. And I didn't hear the crowd, I didn't hear anything else. And that's hopefully what these guys are experiencing right now. Augustine was in deep late. We'll see if he can find that attack again with a little bit of more time to be able to convert for a win here.
Norman's pace has definitely slowed.
Well, you wonder if all that time sitting out with injury, has a wear and tear on the gas tank, or maybe it's not quite what it once was. Or it might be a confidence thing, to be completely honest, too. If you're not used to those reps and toeing the line and compete, the last match of the season was a loss. Maybe you're afraid to go to that deep water place and really test yourself.
I think he hates the masks, too.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to like. Augustine's in. He's going to score this. No.
Wow.
That's 3.
Yep.
Big upset win for Luca Augustine of Pitt.
He's fired up. Keith Gavin's happy in the corner, as is Lou Roselli.
Work. Norman rolls under. Augustine drops his weight, anticipates the roll under, covers both ankles, and he's in the ACC Finals.
Augustine fired up as we now move to 184. That's also chalk, where Mat 1 will have Heller and TJ Stewart. We'll have the number 2 seed Dylan Fishback taking on the 3 seed Gavin Kane from NC State and North Carolina, respectively.
And I'm looking at Tony Ramos here in the corner, and I know Tony was a little bit, as I butcher his name too, a little upset that I got tongue-tied on Lachlan McNeil's name, so I just wanted to make that right. And I'll do my best, Tony, not to mess up Gavin Kane for this match.
Kane, a known name in your business as well.
There it is, yeah. His brother was pretty good too, I think.
Yes, yeah. Guy known as The Undertaker.
And ironically, Gavin Kane had a brother who was also very good.
Yeah. Kane's been an All-American here at Carolina. Had some battles with Matt Feinsilver back in the day. Fishback, a really talented guy out of Ohio who's very capable of being on the podium.
What state's Fishback from?
The great state of Ohio.
Oh, there we go. I like to hear that.
I do too.
Sandwiched between 2 Ohio guys over here.
There you go.
Apologies to Rhino.
Both of these dudes here have very funky hips. When they get into certain sprawl positions, should be fun if they can get into some scrambles here. Watch some good wrestling.
Kane beat Virginia's Justin Phillips 12-4 to get to the semifinals. Fishback with a tech fall of David Hussey out of Duke.
Good shot by Fishback.
This is a matchup, that's got big implications not only for this tournament, but also for the tournament to come. You have Gavin Kane, a guy who's been on the podium before, knows how to get it done in March. He beat Hunter Boland in that All-American round one year versus Dylan Fishback. Again, a guy that's been right there, and also, his only 2 losses in the ACC have come to Reese Heller. So maybe he gets a third matchup with him and finally figures it out here and gets a lot of momentum going into Philadelphia.
Yeah, this is a huge round for the team race as well, as we see TJ Stewart and Heller on mat 1. Here on mat 2, we've got Fishback and Kane. NC State's had some momentum going in the gym right now, and they're looking to continue that with Fishback.
Wow,
that's a beautiful duck.
Gavin Kane holding tight.
Oh, he goes for the snake there.
Yeah, he's going for the knockout punch, and I don't dislike it.
Fishback in those 2 losses to Heller out of Pitt. They were tight 2-1. And then on January 24th, they met again, and it was 6-2 in favor of Heller.
His attack rate here has been really high. He's bringing a lot of pressure onto Kane.
Yeah, you wonder if he should have just taken the guaranteed points. I said I didn't dislike it, and I still stand by that because your career and you got to let it fly. But, that duck was so pretty he got behind. It almost would have maybe made more sense to take the 3 points. But for what it's worth, Fishback, I would have done the same.
People buy tickets to the ballpark to watch home runs.
Virginia Tech now leading the team race with 56 points. NC State in second with 44. Virginia with 25.5.
There's a stall on
top
Kane.
4.
Good shot again. Secures it. Persistence. This is about the 5th shot from Fishback, and he finally secures it late in the period on the edge.
And if you're Kane, you got to be thinking, I need one back here. I need one back here. I've got to get a point on the board going into the second. It's going to be a big deal. Good job by Fishback playing the edge a little bit there, and also recollecting the wrist to break him flat to hopefully ride out the period if you're rooting for the Wolfpack here.
Eight seconds remaining. Fishback with a 3-0 lead over Kane.
Curious to see what Kane does off the whistle here. He goes straight stand. Figured he was going to go for a roll.
You just got to wrestle out here and Kane and get another reset because it's going to be hard to get that escape on the edge there.
On January 31, Fishback took down Kane. Major decision, 14-5.
Get good look at this. Fishback sucks up the hips on the nice double leg, gets his finish on the edge, gets to a tight waist, rides out the rest of the period.
Yeah, high-level percentages are so important at this point in the season. If you go to those finishes on your double leg, on your head inside, on your head outside single, that give you the greatest rate of success, that's really where it's going to be. People don't understand. There's three parts to every shot. There's the shot itself, which is where you're in on the leg, but there's the setup that leads into that, and lastly, the finish. And I would argue, especially at this point in the year, you're not going to get many opportunities to get in on those legs, so you can't get lazy on that finish. You have to commit, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much energy it takes, to go to the highest percentage finish rate.
Completely agree. And we see this in moving through the field. You have limited opportunities to get in on these types of attacks. The deeper and deeper you go into these tournaments, you have to make them count.
See the team scores on the top of your ACC network extra screen with Virginia Tech, who knocked off NC State to finish the regular season 21-10.
You see UVA in third place, really impressive showing so far for them. Team that was outside the top 25 coming into this tournament.
Fishback here is riding real stingy, you know, bouncing around, trying to get lift and returns going, and he's just giving nothing up to Kane right now. Kane's going to have to do something here to make it happen on his own part, because I don't think Fishback's willing to concede anything at this moment.
Was sometimes last year in matches, Fishback would fade a little bit. Pace would slow down. He's not breathing heavy at all, even considering the pace he's wrestling at. He's putting a lot of pressure on him. He just seems very comfortable.
And as I said, he doesn't concede anything. He got to about the 1:03 mark on riding time and then let him go. So clearly that was kind of an objective or a goal. Maybe it was a strategy from the corner. That was the mark that he was going for. He wanted to get that riding time potential point on the board.
It seems like they're not only thinking about winning, they're thinking about bonus.
I wondered what
a 3-1 match.
Do you think it was flexibility going into the third for your choice, or do you think it's a potential for bonus where he's trying to get every point he can? As he's in deep on a single here, I think we have our answer.
I think Espo's, thinking team score.
And like Dean said, there was a major earlier in the year here, so it's very, very likely.
Good flexibility by Kane here.
Now, if I am Fishback, I'm wanting to post my left hand. I'm wanting to elevate that foot of Kane's, and then I'm going to want to bring him back to the middle.
This is a position that Conrad Dudziak, national finalist from Duke, excelled at. Just kind of finish in this low ankle position. Good job by Kane to prevent a score.
3-1. Fishback, since we're talking Ohio, won it as a junior, did not give up a point in the entire tournament, and then as a senior went ahead and went 39-0.
I'd say that's pretty good. You can't do much better than that, right?
How do you not allow a point?
I don't know, Dean. I let up a lot of points in my life, so I'm not entirely sure. You know, in my own ACC final, I don't know if you remember, I dug myself a nice 6-0 hole to have to dig out of before winning it. So, yeah, I'm not sure, but very impressive by Dylan Fishback.
It's not quite New Hampshire State's, but Ohio State's is pretty good.
And we would never want to be New Hampshire State's.
These people know the preeminent wrestling state in the country.
You know, that northeast region has been home to many great wrestlers, including my now boss, Paul Levesque, also known as Triple H.
Nashua, New Hampshire's own. Won a title in that gym.
There you go.
TJ Stewart goes down on mat 1 for Virginia Tech, so team race implications here for Fishback if he can get into the finals.
He's got that 3-point lead as he extends it. And now we're at a 6-point lead, but he's close to that riding time that makes it 7. So what are you thinking here, Ryan? Are you trying to secure the ride time point and then let him go again?
Kevin Jack yelled from the corner immediately, cut him. And I think that's the right call. Give yourself some more time to get that last takedown because you feel like if you end up on top, you're going to end up with riding.
Yeah, and a guy like Gavin Kane, you know he's going to come and try to get that bonus. You're going to try to exploit any mistake he might make by getting overzealous or over-aggressive here. Punch your way right back into the match.
That is a beautiful timed re-attack. Kane relaxed a bit off his own attack, and Fishback saw it. Good hips by Kane.
I was going to say he did an amazing job redirecting the head.
He's going to score.
Yep.
And now he's going to let him loose.
Yep, to try to
He's
get
back in this match.
Takedown away from tying it.
We've got riding time ticking there in the neutral position. Hopefully that gets adjusted or doesn't come into play here.
That was the first time Fishback really looked at the clock. Said, what's the score? What's the situation?
Sometimes when those points are flying up on the board, you're not even entirely sure what the score is. You're just trying to worry about the next position, next point, and then when you finally get a little bit of break in action, you go, where are we at? Oh yeah, okay, it's 9-5 now, I forgot.
Looks like he's going to end up with the victory, a big win for NC State, punching another one to the finals, and Dylan Fishback.
Looks like they'll get those advancement points, but won't get the bonus points that you had been talking about earlier in the match.
And Dylan Fishback will go to back-to-back NCAAs, but for him, more importantly, he'll be in tonight's championship final at 184. Here's the takedown.
Just nice counter up, gets to underhook, gets to the single leg, covers the hip. Takes the lead.
Does a great job of feeling when pressure is there and when he can drop out from underneath it, as you saw that duck earlier in the match where he went head hunting on. He does an amazing job of that.
So we moved to 197, where 3 AQs out of the ACC. This is all chalk. Stout and Law over on mat 1. And here on mat 2, we got Andy Smith from Virginia Tech. He beat Burrell 8-2. And we've got Nicholas Stemmet from Stanford. He had a tech fall against Duke's Bonsu. Took him just 3 minutes and 21 seconds for that.
Stemmet's been on a real hot streak coming into the tournament. He's won a bunch of matches in a row. He's a guy in his last year, he's won, working on getting over 100 wins in his career for Stanford, been a staple in their lineup at 197 pounds, and a guy with a lot of confidence in himself who's wrestling really well. Andy Smith, a guy who's been in the round of 12 for Virginia Tech. He's really a guy who wrestles with a ton of pace, comes back on guys in the third period, puts a lot of pressure on you. I'm really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, and Smith had big wins against Serber, and help me out on the pronunciation of this one, Rhino. I won't even try. The guy who's the returning All-American from
John
Rutgers,
Poznansky,
who just announced that he's no longer wrestling and retiring there. But those are 2 big wins there. So Andy Smith has had a little bit of a season for himself here.
Yeah, Smith surprised a lot of guys on the backside of the NCAAs last year, getting all the way to the round of 12. Just a guy who wrestles really, really hard. He's a guy who at times will give up the first takedown in a match, and then he'll end up majoring a guy or winning late in the third period, just with the type of pressure and how hard he wrestles.
It's hard to beat the guy who never quits. I think Babe Ruth said that, Rhino. Stemmet wrestling for Stanford. Funny enough, I actually have trained a little bit with Stemmet when he was down in the Orlando area. In addition to that, he's a beach wrestling national champ and a world medalist, I believe. And then him and his brother actually this past year tried out for the WWE as well. So a little bit of history there with Nick Stemmet from Stanford.
Yeah, great stuff.
Stemmet not afraid to put himself out there on a microphone or online to, had a little high-profile feud with a former national champion, Mr. Fast Twitch, but we'll see. We may get that matchup again in the future. Stemmet with a nice shot.
Head inside off of that little elbow pass, Pop Perry style.
Swung through, Stemmet.
Good finish.
He's got
now
3.
You want to keep him flat here. There you go. You want to transition quick. The name of the game, especially in these high-profile matches, it's not only who can score the points, who can transition quicker to secure riding time, to secure getting back up and getting that escape point, whatever it may be. Transition wrestling is very, very important in March.
What you love about this tournament as well, there's no NC State wrestler in this round. There's a huge NC State kind of fan section, and they are all cheering for Nick Stemmett right now against Andy Smith, considering the team race.
Yeah, the Hokies and the Pack don't exactly love each other.
No, opposite ends of the gym here. Heard eruptions at different points in the day.
The enemy of my enemy is a friend, I think is how it goes, Rhino, is it not?
We've seen the Hokie fans cheering on Cavaliers today with a couple upsets from UVA. And you find strange bedfellows here when you're in the postseason.
What a treat to be joined by Jacob Casper, a.k.a. Julius Creed, as well as the Rhino Dylan Ryan here on Mat 2 semifinal action, which means the winners that you're seeing right here will be featured tonight on ACC Network for the championships from Cameron Indoor. Speaking of Cameron Indoor, mad props to the Duke women's basketball team that laid the hammer down on NC State, and they're your ACC champions, the Duke women. Carol Lawson,
the sisterhood.
Jacob Casper, the sisterhood taking it down.
Yeah, I know Dr. Dylan Ryan here has been one of the biggest supporters along with his wife this season, and Carol Lawson, you know, some Boston ties as well, correct?
Yeah.
So,
Celtics.
You know, assistant coach for the Boston Celtics, you know, an excellent franchise, most championships in NBA history, but
moving on.
Excited to
But Dean, you notice what I noticed? They're not having as successful of a year as the Cleveland Cavaliers are this year.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, we'll plug that in there.
The Cavs are back.
We've got the anomaly in Jason Tatum now, you know. So we'll see. Looking forward to the season, but a great season for Duke women's basketball. Been a long-time supporter and so happy to see them find that success, their first ACC title in over a decade.
And back to the action here on Mat 2. Andy Smith got rode out long in that first period. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a first move, a commitment to a hard first move here to get off of bottom. You know, this is going to be a long second period otherwise, as riding time is now ticked to over 2 minutes.
Stemmett's really found something late in the year. Something's just clicked for him because he's been really offensive from his feet, as we saw in the first period, getting to that right-sided single leg. He attacked it twice, got to it the second time, and finished. And he's been riding really tough in this winning streak stretch and just staying stingy in every position.
You know what's interesting is Stanford obviously has the furthest travel here. So I'm always curious, you know, flying as much as I do myself, how's that going to impact? But you look at Stemmett, and he's not breathing hard right now. You know, is he calm because he's been in these situations before? Sure, but something has to be attested to the conditioning that he has going into the year in this final form. And, you know, some guys are just Mr. March. You had guys like Chip Ness that would just show up come tournament time and end up on the podium year after year, and Nick Stemmett might be priming himself for a sort of breakout similar to that.
Yeah, Chip Ness, a guy who got the crowd behind him at Nationals, made it fun, just went out there and wrestled with no pressure and ends up on the podium for UNC, a guy who was, you know, routinely not ranked in the top 20, and then, you know, Friday night you'd see him in the semifinals.
Jacob, I agree, though. Stemmett looks comfortable.
I was just going to say, Stemmett riding tough here. You know, you look at his credentials. He's been to the tournament 3 times, and he's left empty-handed, and he maybe is saying, enough is enough, man. I'm not asking anymore. I'm telling you I'm coming home with All-American honors with a national title this year. 197 is a weight that is fairly wide open still. I know Buchanan's had a great year and stuff, but, you know, anybody can make noise at that weight and do something truly spectacular.
Yeah, as we've seen, Andy Smith was in the round of 12 last year, 1 match away from being an All-American. And Nick Stemmett's got 3 minutes of riding time. He's been the real aggressor. Nice job by Stemmett getting to that single. And to finish on the inside, Smith tries to roll. Stemmett gets his hips back, gets that crossface, covers.
50-year Nick Stemmett will start down out of Yorkville, Illinois. Came into the ACC championships there first, as Stanford new to the ACC with a 98-45 record, and Stemmett with another point. Jacob, that doesn't work with my wife, that I'm not asking, I'm telling thing. Just doesn't work at all.
That was a nice knee pick.
Wow. And another thing I was pointing to Rhino here on the monitor is riding time's effectively locked already.
Yeah.
So there's an additional point on the board. So while it says 7-0, this is a bonus point match right now for Stemmet, and it's actually 8-0, and it's a major right now as he cuts, and we've got an opportunity to score even more.
I mean, he cut him. As you said, he's coming from across the country. Stanford's had a brutal travel schedule this year. They wrestled 3 times in 4 days over here on the East Coast during the ACC season, and then a few days later wrestled Carolina. Coming back coast to coast, and Stemmet's the one really pushing the pace on a guy like Andy Smith, who's known for pushing the pace in the 3rd period.
And again, something they would stress over at NC State's RTC is stress plus rest equals growth. And those guys went through the stress of that grind. They probably went back, got as healthy as they could and rested up, worked on some things. And maybe this is the growth of the season then. And you see Nick Stemmet hopping levels here. While I do think with 45 seconds left, he needs to get another attack out there and try to secure the bonus point win here.
Stemmet did beat Smith on February 7th by a slim margin, 4-2. A little different story here, 7-1 with the riding time that Jacob Casper told you about.
And you got to think, you're not only wrestling right now in this match, Dean. At this point in the season, you're wrestling for feedback come March.
And as I say, Stemmet might be gassed here.
And that's not the feedback you want come March.
He's effectively up 9-4, so it would take something real big.
Little re-attack there. Like a headlock.
That's going to be
Gets
bonus.
his head out of there, though.
There's the bonus points for Stanford.
Yeah, a little bit gritty, a little bit ugly at the end of the day, but he found a way to get the bonus point on the board. Andy Smith battled hard to the very end. I love the headlock attempt. Stanford unfortunately isn't in the team race, so it doesn't have quite as many team implications to give up that extra bonus point. But big nonetheless for Nick Stemmet going into the postseason with a slimmer 4-2 win in regular season to have that confidence of a bonus point win of a guy that was round of 12 last year.
We see Smith not quite get his hips through on that throw attempt. Stemmet slides his head out, gets the score.
And that bonus point. Now it truly is Jacob Casper time, as we're at 285. I say that, though, knowing that Jacob actually started at 184 and then worked his way up to heavyweight, which is pretty incredible. Do you remember that process?
Oh, I definitely remember that, and I saw where Reese Heller from Pitt actually started his career at 149. So, he had some growth of his own, and, there are growing pains, there are adjustments. Actually, when I came back from the Olympic Training Center in 16, Coach Lanham said, hey, do you want to certify at 197 as well, just as a plan B? And I said, Coach, plan B just distracts from plan A. We're going heavyweight. We're riding this thing till the wheels fall off. And he let me do my thing, and it's what I felt I needed to do to have the best success and to stay healthy, especially come March. I'm glad that I made that jump. I like when these big boys get out here, Dean. The ground shakes, the earth quakes, and the world's moving because we want to find out who's the biggest and the baddest dude. And right now we've got Mullen versus hometown boy Burkert for a final spot. But also, if they win this match, they're going to the tournament.
Connor Barquette having a big-time season, 22-8, and a guy that I'm pretty convinced that Glenn Lanham knows he's going to ride into Philadelphia with. Barquette knocking off knees of UNC right here on mat 2, 5-1. Mullen pinned Gabe Christensen in 1:50.
Barquette's really going to have to suck up space. Jimmy Mullen, as we said, a guy who was recruited to play football and wrestle at Virginia Tech, focusing on wrestling now, likes to wrestle from the open. Looking cradle already, gets in on a single. Good work from Mullen.
Yeah, and you've got to look to defend that if you're Barquette there. You can't look to get out of bounds and to try to take that out. You've got to look to get the hips back, hit him with baseline, and redirect the head there.
Got to fight the hand. Oh, that was nice. You don't really see that much at heavyweight.
Barquette, a redshirt sophomore out of West Lafayette, Indiana, and West Lafayette High School.
out near Purdue.
Yeah, that's the home of Purdue, West Lafayette. Barquette kind of stumbled into the ACC championship, but of course he was going against big-time opposition as he fell to Mullen, number 14 in the country, then Pitzer out of Pitt, number 13 in the country, then Peter Ming, number 31 in the country.
Yeah, it was a rare, getting used to that for him as well, putting together a nice season, over 20 wins, losing 3 matches in a row. Got to kind of get your mind right again and try to close this gap here against a guy like Jimmy Mullen.
You see him battling for inside position there. You can see the size difference. Again, the eye test doesn't always lie, and Mullen's a little bit bigger, so it's really important to hold that inside tie and those inside control ties for positioning's sake here.
Yeah.
You've got to get Mullen wrestling your match here. He's got a proficient, low shot. He hand fights hard. You've got to get him reacting to your stuff if you're Barquette here.
Barquette likes to work from the hook. He's a converted 97-pounder who really took it upon himself with the strength staff to go up to 285.
I don't love that stall call there.
Didn't love that one either. I understand it with the rules. That's kind of how you have to defend a leg attack in that position.
But I'll use that opportunity to once again plug that these referees do a thankless job, and nobody's ever going to agree with every single call, but they are also doing their very best, and they're in their best form come March as well.
Jacob Casper running for office.
American made.
There you go. Slide
Good
by
check by.
Yep. Yeah, you know, Dean, I am from Ohio. It's a swing state. It would be very important to get on board.
That's a stall. That should be a. That's a. That should be a stall, I think, actually, on Mullen for just driving him out of bounds based on how the rule is written.
Which is similar to what you saw last time as Barquette attempted to snap and Mullen got his weight into him to drive him out there.
That's what Coach Erickson in the Duke corner was not thrilled about that call. So you talked about most coaches aren't going to be thrilled about calls that don't go their way.
Yeah, I think Jared Hott liked that call as he sits in the corner there for Mullen. Take another look at that takedown on the edge there. Shades of Islam, shades of Ben Whistle in the wrestling room back in the day to us.
Ben
with
Whistle.
the finish there. And a finish like that is a no-risk, full-reward type finish. If the guy is able to regain his balance and step back out of it, you're in the exact same position you were before. But sometimes you are able to feel that weight shift and convert it to easy points, as you saw Mullen do there.
Nice. Barquette cleared his hips. Mullen does a good job on the edge.
You want to see him check mark back up where he gets returned there, because there's an opportunity to bounce right back up, fight hands, and get away.
Just sagging on that ankle.
Mullen
Cradle.
with a tech fall win over Barquette 20-5. It took him 5 minutes and 15 seconds in the regular season.
Yeah, this match so far has been much more competitive.
Something different now in the ACC tournament than when we competed in it is the number of teams. And what that means is these 2 seeds and these 6 seeds or 3 seeds as they match up in the semis, regardless on this side of the bracket, they've all had a match already. So they've gotten that first match out of the way, which is a big deal.
Yeah, you get your lungs out, you get some of the nerves out.
He's going to want to get the bottom knee down here as Mullen looks to dig arm bar.
As I said, if you're Barquette as well, you've already pulled off the win, you're in the semifinals, this is a guy who's teched you. You don't have all that much to lose in going out here and trying to surprise people. Gonna have to turn into him. Oh, I don't know about no backs. I don't.
Rhino letting a little bit of the bias show here. I like it.
I don't know about that one.
I think the sentiment's being reiterated by Glenn Lanham in the corner there. He feels the same way. I don't see them holding any back points, so it doesn't look like any were awarded, Rhino. Just what the doctor prescribed.
There's Glenn Lanham.
There he is, our fearless leader alongside Tom Erickson. Many All-Americans, many years at the helm here at Duke.
A lot of great stories in that corner.
It's interesting to see the ACC influenced by Oklahoma State. It's been widely dominated from a coaching rank.
Yeah.
Both Tom Erickson and Glenn Lanham both went to Oklahoma State is what made me think of that.
Yeah. Pat Papalizio, obviously, at NC State now.
Former Carolina coach was at Oklahoma State too, right?
Coleman
Yeah,
Scott.
Coleman Scott. A lot of influence.
Is he back at Oklahoma State now? Where is he?
I believe he's helping at Ohio State or
Ohio
ACC.
State. Okay.
But I believe he also helps out with a high school in Stillwater still, from my understanding.
It's a well-traveled guy.
Coleman Scott, I relate in more ways than you realize.
Looks like Pitzer is up on Trumbull on that one. That would be a big upset.
Massive.
And that would be a bad sign for NC State.
You kind of had a feeling about Pitzer.
He's a super talented guy. He's had that injury bug. He hasn't quite put it together since his freshman year. You see Mullen get in on a shot.
Rolling through. This is that lower
Danger
shot.
position. That's going to be a
We're offering 3 back points there in addition to the takedown then?
Fred, I think just
no,
the
just for
takedown.
the takedown, okay.
Fred Margerison was pretty generous to Barquette there. It looked like that could have been a fall.
I don't disagree, Doctor. I don't disagree.
Barquette's got to put himself out here now. He's got a minute left. You're down effectively 6 points. You need something big.
And you're the 6th seed. Again, you're playing on house money. This is where you got to let it fly. If you've got a big feet to back, type of move that can score you 7 points, now's the time to start to try to get a feel for it and see where it might be there, especially with a minute left.
Number 5 out of the ACC will advance to the NCAAs at 285. I've been impressed with Mullen. I mean, you can see the football in him as well,
nice.
right?
Shot, yeah, exactly. That positioning, the body style. And Dayton Pitzer wins on mat 1. This has been quite a round for Virginia Tech now, or quite the matches for them at 285. It looks like Mullen's going to hang on here.
Wow, that's huge. The 4 seed Pitzer for Pitt will be in tonight's championship match, heavyweight on ACC Network. Looks like he's going to face Jimmy Mullen, Virginia Tech.
Good performance for Jimmy Mullen as he punches his ticket into the finals over Connor Barquette with the major decision.
So Jimmy Mullen out of Virginia Tech, and the Hokies fans get double the love because Trumbull upset by Pitzer over on mat 1. So that's it with the semifinals. We'll head to the consolation rounds yet again. They start at 4:30 on ACC Network Extra. For Jacob and Rhino, I'm Dean Lincoln. We'll be back at 4:30 for coverage of the ACC Wrestling Championships.